I'll set it right here.
Oh, we are live. That's fantastic. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Wind Down Your Weekend. It's June 19th. I'm your host, Small Press Shann, and I'm here, as always, with Wednesday Phil. What's up, Phil? How's it going?
I'm doing well. Very excited to be here on another Sunday.
Yes.
I figured I'd like to show something off.
Yeah, I know. We got this really cool thing dropped off for you this week, so can't wait to see. I was really excited to be there to see your reactions. Now I can't wait to see everybody else's.
I appreciate it. Definitely made it because I was actually kind of concerned. You had mentioned Lamar Mathurin, who is the artist on the Cowboy Bebop series. It's based off of the now canceled Netflix show. Was here for Free Comic Book Day. And we kind of got to talking about sketch covers and all this different stuff. And I said, hey, here's a cover. Take it home whenever you can finish it. I don't mind. Take as long as you want. And Shannon had mentioned that he hurt his shoulder, was it? And that it was going to kind of delay everything. So I was like, oh, it's probably going to be a while. I came in today, and they had for me the sketch cover that he did. This is going to be of Edward and Ein the dog. It's fantastic. It blows my mind how good the sketch cover is. Like, I was not at all expecting it to be like this, not to have any of the color. I thought it was just going to be, pencil work for the most part. Maybe inked. Some people ink it, but this is such a beautiful cover. It's gonna be like I would take pictures and show all my coworkers and everything. It's so fantastic. So Lamar, I greatly appreciate you for doing this for me. And if you haven't checked out the Cowboy Bebop series, you definitely need to. His art style is so fantastic. I had a chance to talk to him at Free Comic Book Day and talking about his influences. He had this really cool MF Doom poster that he had done. Just an extremely talented artist and a super nice guy. So yeah, this is fantastic. I'm gonna stare at it pretty much all night and tomorrow before I go to work as well. Yeah, he
nailed it.
He did such a great job.
Yeah, and I know the first time we got the blank covers in, and I was like, oh, Lamar is a friend of one of our subscribers. He's going to be coming out to the shop to check it out. And you were like, do you have blank covers? Like, did you get the,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. You were like, because his art is so good. And then, like, you missed him that first time he came, and you were like, oh, it's fine. The universe will bring him back to me. And then he actually, I had messaged him about Free Comic Book Day early on, and he was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it. And then 11 o'clock the night before, he was like, yo, can I still come? And I was like, dude, we will never say no. Like, come down. Like, that is amazing. We'd love to have you. And I was like, Phil's going to be so stoked because you got your chance came back to you. So shout out to Lamar. We loved having you for Free Comic Book Day. And since we're on the subject of Lamar, I'm just going to say it really fast. He actually signed all of our stock of Cowboy Bebop that we have in the store right now. So if you want a signed copy of the Cowboy Bebop miniseries from Titan Comics, you can come in and get that. We have issues 1, 2, and 3, and he signed all of the copies that we have. He also signed his variant cover for Homesick Pilots,
which is a very beloved series here on the show. So I'm excited. He's such a nice guy, just so unbelievably nice.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked that he signed all these.
Yeah, super great. Thanks for that as well, Lamar. Like, he was just like, hey, while I'm here, you want me to sign some more books? And I was like, yeah, I'm never going to say no to that either.
That seems to be kind of a running theme for your creative friends who are like, oh, you know what? If you have a pen, I'll just sign everything. Chris Sheehan, Megan Hutchison, like, it's crazy. Dan Price. Yeah, just, hey, I'll just sign whatever you got, whatever's my name's on.
Yes, that's exactly what I want. Yeah. Since we're winding down our weekend, Phil was in charge of the selection this week. So he brought a giant bottle of wine, which is hilarious because Phil drinks the least amount of wine on the live stream, but he brought the largest bottle he could find. But this week, it's a Cab Sav, and it is called Low Hanging Fruit.
Yes. Yeah. Which is really the only reason I bought it.
Right. Phil goes by the name of the logo, like the name and the logo. So this sold him. But it is supposed to have aromas of fresh red fruit and toasted oak. It's full-bodied and remarkably smooth with flavors of red cherry and raspberry, finishing with a touch of vanilla that lingers on the palate. So I'm going to taste it. Ooh, Phil actually is mooming it. So, okay. Which probably means it's sweet.
It is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan.
Phil, anytime Phil says, I know it tastes like candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's...
Which I think is the opposite of what y'all like in wine. So.
Yeah, we like the dirty tasting wines.
Yeah.
And
really bitter.
Really bitter. But I mean, this isn't bad. I like it.
I feel like there has to either be two separate wines that we drink.
Right.
And we just drink straight out of the bottle.
Okay, well, now we're moving this show up a notch. Now we're getting our own bottles and we're drinking straight out of the bottle.
Yes.
Now we're going to be winding up our weekend, getting this party started. Well, that's it. We're drinking low-hanging fruit. It's Cab Sav. It is from California. We're going to be drinking this all night, literally, because it is a giant bottle. So we are going to be drinking it all night.
And that was the main appeal.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be honest. It was the size of the bottle and then the $8.99 price tag next to it. I was like, sold.
It's going to go great with our macaroni and cheese that we eat for dinner later. Y'all think we are joking, but we are definitely not. We will be probably eating macaroni and cheese for dinner,
and
like the adults
chips
that we are. Ooh, yeah. All right, we got some comics in this week. We've got, this week our picks of the week is almost as high as our regular books, and honestly, we probably could have thrown everything everywhere and been happy.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with some hot titles out this week. And I'm bringing one that we haven't talked about in a long time. But it's Eisner nominated, so I thought it's time to do a little circle back to what's going on in the series, which is Radiant Black from Image Comics. This is issue 15 of the book, which is why we don't usually bring it out.
Right.
But we've kind of hit, we've gone through 2 trades. We're like, 2 or 3 issues into that second trade at this point. And we're about to be 5 issues into the spinoffs this week. So,
wow.
Which this is a book that has launched 2 spinoffs out of it, Rogue Sun and Radiant Red. And we're starting to see a little bit of the Radiant Red story connect into Radiant Black, which we're seeing some of those characters. But if you don't know the story of Radiant Black, it starts with a guy who feels like, he moved away from home and was like, I'm going to be a writer, it's going to be great. And then he comes home and he's like, I don't want to tell everybody I failed, but like I owe, $60,000 in student loans and I have no job. I had to come home. And he finally goes out with his childhood best friend and is going to tell him everything. And after their night of drinking, when they're walking back to the cars and stuff, well, to the trains because it's Chicago area, when they're walking back to their cars, never going to get that right. They end up running into a black hole. And this black hole gives the main guy superpowers, except for the fact that this sounds like you know exactly where this is going. By issue 3, all of that has changed, and he's not even our main focal point of the story anymore. And this really, at the base of it, ends up being a story about these 2 best friends. As much as they do a lot of very Power Ranger-esque superheroes, which, of course, the teams on both of these books are Kyle Higgins and Ryan Parrott doing the spinoffs. Right. So it is the Power Rangers comic creators writing these books. But as much as it has that, they actually make it just really about these people. And every time it starts to get really, like, action-heavy in the concept, something happens that emotionally breaks somebody, and then the whole rest of the issue and the next issue will just be emotional storytelling. So they never go too far into the action, and so that they lose sight of the emotions, which has made this book really, really good. I do love that Radiant Black himself is he's kind of a cocky asshole.
Yeah.
And in this issue particularly, somebody is going to make a short film about Radiant Black, and he's super mad about it. And his friend is like, "Hey, don't worry, man. It's gonna be great. Like they're gonna do a good job." And he's like, "Dude, I don't know." And then he sees that they cast Will Friedle to play him, and he's like, "What? you got Eric from Boy Meets World to play me? This is the greatest day of my life. Like, okay, I'm in. And I'm like, oh, I really feel like this story is about my life sometimes, because that's like the one thing I'd be like, what? You got a Boy Meets World actor to play me? This is great. He's like, dude, Batman Beyond, what's up, my dude? Like, he's like completely in our world, like referencing Will Friedle. So that was like the best part of this book, honestly. Like, Will Friedle could be my pick of the week alone. That would be cool. But,
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So, and we're halfway through the third arc? Tail end of the third arc? This would be the third issue, so yeah, that after this book, you're halfway through, because they've been doing 6 issues in each arc, so. That's crazy. Yeah, I cannot believe it, but this is nominated for Best New Series at the Eisners, and for me, one of the things that I think does qualify it as a really strong candidate for that is the fact that it did start 2 more miniseries out of it, like, so quickly. It built a universe very, very quickly, and it's one of those books where all of my big 2 only subscribers also subscribe to Radiant Black. All of my indie subscribers get Radiant Black. It's like everybody of any kind has found something in that series that they like about it, and then they're just following along. There's always QR codes too, like, hey, like in the background, like on a piece of paper, like, scan this to get your Radiant Black merchandise, and you can scan those QR codes and it'll take you to that Radiant Black merchandise and wow.
stuff.
So they're doing all of it. They're going all out.
They're all out on this, and I mean, if you are a fan of those indie superhero universes like Invincible and things like that, like this is your next one, and it's so good. So, next up from Ahoy Comics, we've got issue 3 of G.I.L.T. This is the week of 3s, by the way. There's so many third issues. A lot of 4s too. 3s and 4s. 3s and 4s. We're moving through some books. Do you want to tell them what G.I.L.T. is about? Yes, so G.I.L.T. Stands for the Guild of Independent Lady Temporalists. This is kind of the story of a woman who travels back in time to the day where she almost got married. Yes, or did. On when she... But she has the ability to go back, and she goes back to this one day, and she's done it so many times that even the people back in the past now know what she's doing. Like, she goes back, and the last issue, she went back in time, and all of her friends are like, yes, we know you do this, and they kind of lay out for you basically what's happening here. But in this story, she actually goes back in time with a girl. Who ends up going back in time with her, which is now making everything a bit messy. You know, they always say you don't mess with time travel, and it seems like we're going to be dealing with time travel being messed up. And I do like, one of the things I like about it is that it is such a simplistic reason. Like, she's like, oh, like, she had a good life, and she tells you at the beginning, I had a good life, but the problem is that I did lose sight of myself because of this relationship I entered into, and it caused me to lose some of my friends, and I just want to find out if there was another option, because in every time she tries it, it doesn't matter. She ends up like in the same, like, losing her best friend and being stuck with this person who wasn't the right person for her, and it just sends her down this downward spiral. But I love that that's such a small decision, but the ripple effects have been ginormous. Like, in this issue, we're trying to find a missing airplane. And it's like, oh, this entire plane of people has completely been lost, and it's somehow connected to you going back in time just to not marry your ex. And it's such an interesting thing to see how we do, you know, have to make those choices. Like, the choices we made do completely lead to the path that we're on, and everything we do does affect it. It's a wonderful life in a comedy. Yeah, and it's really funny. I mean, even, like, the guy that she may not married is, like, a Tony Robbins type of guy. So it's one of those books that's, like, it's really funny. All the characters are, like, really enjoyable and likable. It's been such a fun book so far. Yeah. I mean, it's Ahoy Comics, so it's kind of another one of those where I'm, like, usually I'm gonna read whatever they're putting out, and this one, it's just a ton of fun. I mean, especially if you like that time travel stories, you're gonna get a lot of really fun stuff, and the comedy is just constant. It feels like, and it's like the high level comedy. It's not just like slapstick. It's like it's one of those where they make a comment and you're like, you have to have caught on to what they were saying. Like, it's all in what they say and not just necessarily like situational. But.
And I feel like, and maybe this just has a lot to do with Mark Russell having a title at Ahoy, but I do feel like they have those really witty writers. Like, where it is a bit more like you have to kind of step back and like see the whole thing and be like, oh, I get it. That's really
absolutely
funny. But yeah, I've enjoyed this one so far. Based on the 3-issue rule, I'm on board. I'm in. Like, it's a book I'll continue to read.
Absolutely. Speaking of books I want to continue to read forever, but there's only one more issue. Lead City, issue 3 from Red 5 Comics. This is a fantastic book that's all about, it's that Old West story of a man who's trying to save his wife and his kid and get them out somewhere, and he ends up signing up for a Quick and the Dead style battle royale in a town called Lead City, which is an abandoned town that they basically just use for these Quick and the Dead style battles. And since this is issue 3, this is kind of like, we're into the battle. They all signed up for it. You can't get out of it. Once you sign up, you're in it until you get killed. And they've got this, they introduced in issue 2 this massive cast of characters for all the different people that were going to be in the battle. And now we're kind of seeing that like Hunger Games moment of everybody going after each other, and you've got your main character putting in his strategy throughout the course of it, and so you see his movement, but you really are following in this issue all of the people who are getting theirs. And it's like, oh, I'm like, I got you, and then somebody comes up behind them and it's like, yeah, but who got you?
Yeah.
And so it's the rapid fire of the knockout round. But I can't wait to see how they wrap it all up in issue 4, because it does have all of the elements you need, like the action and the family story and the...
Right. I feel like the only issue with this series is that it's too short.
It's too short. It needs to be more. We could have done... And I think that's one of the things I can't wait for in general for Red 5. I have loved all the things that Red 5 has been putting out, so I can't wait for them to get to the point where it's... there's a ton of people talking about it and waiting for these Red 5 comics. And so they're like, oh man, did you see issue 47 of this title from Red 5? Like, I can't wait till we get to that point. Because Red 5 has been making some great comics, but because they are still small press, they're doing a lot of 4-5 like miniseries. And I can't wait for them to just get ongoings that constantly run. And also, if you want to do more volumes of Lead City, I don't even know how it ends yet, but I totally would buy more volumes.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. I like this being the tactic with small publishers, is that we'll do 3, 4, 5 issue miniseries, and if it's popular enough, then we'll bring it back. Devil's Highway just came back. Right. Like, there's an opportunity to find a story that can be told, whether you go beyond that or you tell a different side story. I mean, look at Kaiju Score. I never thought there would be a volume 2 of Kaiju Score. Same. Like, I thought that was a one and done, like, hey, here's this fun little Ocean's 11 style story, but after 4 issues, that's it. But, I mean, it keeps going, so... I'm perfectly okay with this. Maybe this is one of those that we do end up seeing a volume 2, maybe a whole new cast of characters. Maybe they dive a little bit more into the backstory of everything. So
I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Up next is one of yours, which is mislabeled. It says it's issue 2 on the front, but it is actually issue 3 of STRGRL from Behemoth.
Yes. So it is issue 3, but technically it is issue 2 part 2. And one thing that I kind of noticed with this in particular is that this reads kind of a bit like a episode of Dragon Ball Z, where it's like more than one issue is going to kind of span into this one thing. So this is a book called STRGRL, and it's by Behemoth. It has been my pick of the week. Every time it's come out. I decided to take it off just because there were some other ones that I want to talk about a little bit more. But this is basically the cosmos is in danger, and there's all these gangs of girls that are kind of battling to keep the balance and save the balance of the universe. And you have the Rebel Gang, which at this point seems like the good guys. I'm pretty sure they're the good guys. And then there's the Moon Gang, and those are that's the bad gang. But it's all these really badass women who have all these really cool powers. Like they can do illusions, and they shoot blasts almost like you're watching Dragon Ball Z. Like I felt like this was like a mixture of like Scott Pilgrim and Dragon Ball Z, and kind of all these things, and playing video games, kind of all wrapped up in this. So this is a continuation of issue 2, a battle between the two gangs, kind of getting a little idea of what the bad guys, big plan of destroying the cosmos is. Spoiler, it involves a giant robot, which is going to be super fantastic. But I mean, again, I think like this is one of those books that I think I need like a notepad to kind of keep up with the characters, but also you don't, because in the back of each issue they give you all of the characters and who they are. So if you're sitting there and you're seeing these names being said and you're like, wait, who is this again? They tell you everything. They kind of break everything down. Like they even bring in this like machine halfway through the issue, and you're like, what is that? They tell you what that is in the back as well. So kind of all your questions that you need answered are in the back of this book. But it is so beautiful. It's a ton of fun. I love everything about it. I mean,
I love the colors. The colors get me every time. It's just so bright and so bold. And I do love a good appendix. So the fact that they like give you one at the end of every issue, like, hey, just in case you missed this stuff, here's what you like need to know.
Right. And because it is like I'm one of those people who tend to, especially with sci-fi books, they throw out a bunch of names that are not recognizable. I tend to be like, wait, who is this? And what's their purpose again? And I do have that issue with this book. But also at the same time, like I understand the gist of what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're trying to do here. It's so good. It's so good.
And this has been a very popular title.
Has it?
Yeah. I have people every weekend. It's one of those titles that I see people coming up with constantly throughout the weekend. So it's probably going to be one that's eventually going to be hard to find those earlier issues.
Yeah.
So because there's so many people just like grabbing it because it is so like the covers are just so bold that people are like, I didn't even know what this was. I just want to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what it's there for. Like read it too. It's great. But like even if you just look at it, you'll still enjoy it. It's just good. Yeah.
I feel like paying cover price alone is deserved for the artist of this book.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this is issue 3. Definitely hop in if you can find the issues. If all the issues are here, maybe not. But yeah, hunt these down. It's definitely going to be worth it. And maybe one day we'll see some animation of STRGRL.
I would be surprised if we didn't.
Be so thrilled.
Up next from Image is A Town Called Terror, issue 3. Go for it. I know
yes. This is Steve Niles.
Yes.
I always forget if it's Steve or Steven Niles. But Steve Niles, this is his latest book from Image. It is about a guy who is kidnapped from his home and taken to this town called Terror.
Yeah.
Turns out his dad is
in charge of the town?
Yeah.
Not like a mayor, but like kind of like almost the king of this town. So a little bit more powerful than a mayor.
Yes, and so he has called upon his son Henry to return and help him with something. And so we are just kind of getting in these first few issues an idea for what this town is, the ins and outs of it. We're being introduced to the family and some of the siblings as well. Still yet not fully sure what his purpose is in this town.
He's there to find his mom.
Right.
Like his mom, something has happened to his mom, and he's the only one that they think can go out and like save the mom. And I don't know why. I don't know why he's the only one, because there is the siblings, and it's like and the dad has all the resources. So we don't know what Henry's special power is yet that makes him different. But we do know that Henry's the only person who's ever really left the town. So it may be that he has to leave the town to go get her, and maybe he's the only one. The thing about the town is it's very much the universal monsters are the people. So there's the Franks, who are the Frankenstein monster kind of creations. We've seen some werewolf-looking creatures. So we are seeing like this something, and maybe his family might be the vampires. Like,
it's hard to tell.
Kind of hard to tell. His dad kind of just looks like a really old, like, Dracul kind of character. But we're still kind of discovering what they are specifically. But we do know that he's that, like, the kid that the dad hates. And so the dad is almost as reluctant as he is that they have to work together because there's the favorite kids and then there's him. And so you get a lot of that family drama of, well, why do I have to come back here? Why do I have to help? Like, I was living a normal life. I just want out of here. And at the same time, his wife on the outside knows nothing about this. Yeah. So she has no idea where he was, like, who kidnapped him and why. And so she saw, like, there's the investigation of her trying to figure out where he is and what is happening with him. So I'm kind of in for this wife figuring it out. I want to see if there's a point where she does actually end up in a town called Terror, and we have to deal with the wife suddenly discovering it.
Yeah. And I mean, the art in this book is just, it fits so well with the vibe of this story. And it kind of adds to that, like, shroud of mystery that it keeps putting on there of, like, because it feels like each issue we learn a little bit, you know, and they just kind of, like, it's just, like, constantly teasing each issue of, hey, this is what you can expect from this series. But it's been so good. And this is one of those I want to be adapted into a really bad CW show. Yes, 100%. It's not. Who's the other guy in Supernatural besides Jared Padalecki?
Jensen Ackles.
Put Jensen Ackles in a town called Terror. Turn this into a TV show and give it some weird, crazy filter.
People will watch the crap out of it.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like it has some of those, like, bad horror movie dialogue moments.
Yeah, it kind of. I mean, did he write the Nosferatu show, the book that the Nosferatu show is based off of? Yeah, it kind of gives me the Zachary Quinto Nosferatu like vibes, and that makes sense because if it's.
No, he wrote Nosferatu Wars.
Oh,
I think he didn't write NOS.
He didn't do the NOS. Okay, because that's the one that's based off of, and I was wondering if that was him, but. Yeah, because it very much, like, if you were going to make a show out of it, it feels to me like it would look just like that. Which, did that ever come out?
I don't think it did.
I don't think it did either. Mm-hmm. That's a shame. Well, read this instead, since you don't have, since you didn't get that show. Read this.
Yeah,
it kind of feels like the
Terror.
same thing.
Fantastic.
Up next from Comics Experience Publishing is Past the Last Mountain, issue 3.
Oh, you want to talk about a book that just does not slow down?
No, not at all.
And so good in storytelling.
This is like reading a novel every time.
It is. And I feel like if there was one book that should be a pick of the week, but somehow gets lost in the kerfuffle of everything else,
it's always this one.
It's this book. This is CEX, which is Comics Experience. This is their only title?
No, they've had a couple of other little titles, and they were really, like, over-the-top cheesy kind of thing. Like, they had one that was kind of like a Conan kind of title, and we were like, I can't tell if this is, like, supposed to be, like, machismo, or if it's just coming off like that. And then they had one other one, and I read it, and it didn't, like, stick. This is the first one that I read it, and I was like, holy crap, like, this, like... Okay, give me more of this publisher, but I want them to do this.
And so this is the story of, we have a faun, a troll, and a dragon who have escaped a compound, because we live in a world where we went to battle with cryptids. Humans went to battle with, like, cryptids and mythological, like, woodland creatures.
And of course we put them all in cages immediately following.
Yes. And so this is 3 of them have escaped to go to this mythical place, Dragon Lake, to escape the humans and get away from everything. And so this is just them kind of continuing. They're being hunted down by the government organization. This issue, good lord, there's a scene in the beginning of this where there's a goblin talking about his name and how the humans have just given him a number. Mm-hmm. And he does this whole speech about how he even makes this comment where he's like, I was given a name by my mother and father just like you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's definitely that whole conversation of like, there's a group of people who just don't want progression to happen.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful too because like they're like, well, then what is your name? And he's like, you know what? It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
like it doesn't even matter, and it shows how the more we continuously push down people, the more that's how they start to feel like they don't matter too, because this goblin like has like, you know, I mattered, I was important, I like somebody cared about me, and then when he's like, well, you know, what if I do, like what would I call you? And he's like, you know what, you don't, like nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful, and the people who are running away, like it's the fawn and the dragon are trying to save this child troll whose mother was killed, and they were like, well, we'll take care of this baby, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so you have this child who's in the middle of all this, and it's just like, wait, what if some people are good? And it's, you know, it's got that childlike innocence, and it's constantly asking questions. And you've got these two very war-torn adults who have been locked in prison all this time, who are like, okay, but like, kid, there's nothing good. And then along the way they meet good people, and they're like, well, and so the kid's like, but see, like somebody's good, and they're like, maybe, like, you know, but who knows? For all we know, that person was terrible after we left. Like, and it's, you see how adults get hardened, but kids just want to believe that best of people. And it's such a beautifully done story, and just such a good look at the dynamics of how we treat people, and like you said, progression versus even not just repression, but also regression in that, because they were like, we had the opportunity and we went kind of forward, and now we've gone so far back from that. And it's really cool to see them use this fantasy style characters in our world to tell that story.
Yeah, it's like, this had so many of those moments where I was like, God, this is so cinematic. Mm-hmm. And the way that they're telling these stories. And then, of course, you have the stories in the back, which also just, like, continue to hit you pretty hard emotionally. I mean, it's such a good book. It's a bit oversized, so you do get that main series, and then the little war stories in the back.
And there's usually, like, 3 or 4 war stories. And it's just, like, one-shot books that kind of tell you what it's like for different people throughout war. Like that one with the radio broadcast, the DJ, and he's telling the story of, you know, I always tell you other people's stories and I always interview other people, but maybe for once I should tell you a story about what my experience has been. Right. And it's such a good book because everybody has a story, and this book shows everybody's story.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed with this one. I feel like each week it gets better. Mm-hmm. You know, where I really enjoyed issue 2 a ton, including that nice Casper Wingard art in the back. But this one even more so. Like, any doubt that I had by issue 2, that's completely gone. This book is so beautiful. It's really well told. I feel like if this book can get the kind of footing that it needs, you know, the attention that it needs, I think this is a really good step in the direction for the publishing company. Yeah,
I always tell people that, like Saga, like for me, the thing I wanted from Saga was a little bit more into the politics of it. Mm-hmm. Like that's like Saga stays approachable because it's never too fantasy, it's never too sci-fi, but it's also never too political. And this book is like, hey, what if we did take that extra step and we just talked about the politics of the war, but we still left it character driven, and we still talked about how much each of those things, like everything is the impact of war. We're still not actually talking about, hey, like get your guns, let's go fight. We're still talking about the impact on individual people in the war, but we are in it instead of thousands of miles away from it going, hey, our whole existence is based off of this war, but we're in it, and it's like, hey, this is a thing that we definitely need to pay attention to. Yeah, definitely check this one out. 3 issues in. We have all 3 issues. Come find me. I will make sure you get them. And it's got nice, good quality paper too. Yeah, they're doing a great job with their printing. Which is also, I think, another reason why they are doing just like focusing on the one book at a time situation during these paper shortages. It's like, let's just put everything into these really good covers and paper. Up next from Vault, we have We Ride Titans #4, talk about emotional family stories. Yes. This is definitely Kaijus and Fast and the Furious mixed together without all the Vin Diesel
and just more of the family aspect of it. But this is the story of a family who their whole job is to fight the kaijus that come about on this earth, and they do it in their Titan suits. And we've had this really great story about a brother and sister who kind of have to battle with their dad, who, you know, I'm sure hits pretty close to home for a lot of people. I mean, I had a dad who really pushed us for like sports. Mm-hmm. You know, he wanted that professional athlete son. So there was always this divide between us because he was trying so hard to turn me into something else. And so this book has just been a constant, like, grabbing your attention. But you have the sister who's come in and has to kind of take over for the brother who's been having issues.
Yeah, and as a sibling who did move away, like, immediately, and, like, for me, this older sister moved away. She was supposed to be first in line for this job, but she just had such a rocky relationship with her parents that she moved away and was like, I'm going to go on, do my own thing. I'm not going to connect to this. And now she comes back because she has to, because her brother can't do his job because he's become an alcoholic. And especially like in this particular issue, she keeps talking to him about it, you know, would you have ended up in the same spot if I would have stayed? You know, yeah. She's got that guilt of being the older sibling who left and didn't stay there for the younger siblings to make sure that they never had to take like the brunt of everything, or they never had, that they had somebody just to be a role model. And she's like, you know, I wasn't there and you made these bad choices. Is that my fault? Like, did you? And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I needed a sister. Sure. But all you would have done was delay it. You wouldn't have stopped it. Like, this is who I am. This is what I would have made these choices on my own. You can't blame yourself. And I think that was such a good conversation to see, and such a cool family element, because there is so much guilt associated with every part of being in a family. You know, you have your guilt towards your parents. You have your guilt from your parents. You have your guilt towards your siblings. You have your guilt to, you know. And so you're constantly like, did I do the right or wrong by the people in my life? And you have those conversations, and it's like, what if you had those conversations, and then it's like, well, I gotta go fight this giant kaiju now. Yeah. And this book gives you all of that. It's like, okay, what is our motivation for this family drama that everybody experiences? Yeah. And it's really, really good, because you do connect with one character or another at every time in this book.
Yeah, and for me, being a fan of kaijus, like, usually that's what I want to see the most of, but it's these interactions between the family members that, like, really, really drive this book home for me. Because it has been really good in terms of the action that's in it, and they make sure to kind of give you a good chunk of that as well in this book. So it's very balanced in terms of getting both, but you're going to walk away feeling like, whoa, maybe I should call my parents.
When we were talking about the kaiju movies this week in the store a lot, and literally every time we brought them up, people would say, like, oh, okay, so it's about, like, what monster is that about? And I'm like, I don't know. Kaiju movies aren't about the monsters. They're about they're about people, or they're about the environment, or they're about the, you know, the terrible decisions we make, or the connections we make. It's like every movie that's a kaiju movie, it's not really about the monsters. It's like the monsters are the cool action thing that spurs the story along, but like the movie's message is about something else. And so this fits perfectly in the vein of all those kaiju movies, where it's like, it's really about the people and the terrible, like the good and the bad and the terrible and wonderful decisions that they make. But I can't wait to see where this story goes, because it just gets better every issue.
Yeah, also, if you have been on the fence about this one, the end of this issue, pretty crazy stuff happens. So if you've been thinking about it, I would jump on before stuff gets out of hand.
Yes. Up next is West of Sundown, issue 4. Yes. Issue 3. Sorry, issue 3. From Vault.
Yes.
I know you, like, I don't even know if you got to read number 1 of this one, but
I read 1.
Yeah.
And I think I wasn't here when 2 came out.
You weren't here for 2, so you got to go back. But this is our kind of Universal Monsters-ish kind of thing, but in the Old West. And we're following a woman who is a vampire who has had to return to the Old West in order to get back to that natural soil that's like her, like the soil that she was born in, to keep her, vampiricness alive. And so she and her familiar, her human that like takes care of her, have gone back to the Old West. And when they get there, all kinds of crazy Old West shenanigans happen. Like she walks in and, everything in the bar is crazy. And she's like, you know what? I don't have time for this. So she just buys the bar. And she's like, this is my bar now. Like, deal with it. And she goes to her old family home. And now we've got like this weird cult situation going on. But at the same time, we have these Frankenstein's monster style, like, people who are chasing after her. We've got these other creatures who are kind of werewolf-esque, but we've got a lot of creatures that are similar to things we've seen before, but all very Old West looking.
Yeah.
So if you are a fan of the Old West, this definitely gives you like the monsters in the Old West. Really cool, very well done in that capacity. But it's also Tim Seeley on writing, and so you're getting a really, like, the story every time is super deep. It's all about this woman. We're trying to figure it out. You get some good action, but mostly you just get this really good cinematic style story of whether or not this woman is going to be able to get her home. And it's like, she's a vampire, and she may even be the bad guy at the end of the day, or was a bad guy at some point. Don't really know. She doesn't seem like she's a good person, but the whole time I'm rooting for her. Anytime something happens, I'm like, is she gonna make this go down? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, she's got, like, do I need to get into this book and fight with her? Like, you're like so entranced by this character that you're like, okay. But it is classic, like, almost Larry McMurtry level, like, Old West feel, like, kind of stories. Okay. Like, this is your classic, like, Western feel novelization, but turned into a movie. And I love these movie poster covers that they do, which also has that movie poster fold, which is the thing that I'm loving on all of the movie poster variant covers recently.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after, like, I think the first time I really saw it was when Dee did it on Megan's 616 movie homage covers, and now we're starting to see it a lot of places, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And it is Dee on... Oh, no, it's not.
No,
Dee was on the book we were just talking about. Or one of the books.
One of the books, Dee Knuff does the colors on We Ride Titans, which Dee Knuff is one of my favorite colorists, and still not nominated for an Eisner, and I'm still bitter about it on behalf of Dee.
I'll be honest, when I was digging through the pile, I thought this was the murder mystery in Hollywood with the vampires.
Oh, Blood on Sunset?
Blood on Sunset.
West of
Sundown, Blood on Sunset. There's a lot of sun.
Yeah, a lot of vampires, a lot of sun.
You gotta be nervous about the sun when you're a vampire. So
you gotta be nervous about the sun in general. I feel like we've read a lot of books about the sun going out. We got Dark Beach and
Dark Beach, right?
What was the other one with the car?
Noctera. Oh yeah, 78 miles per hour.
78 miles per hour. That one. Yeah, I just a lot, and that's one of those two that kind of blended together for me.
Yeah,
and I think they both came out. The first issue both came out on the same week.
Both came out, and then Vault hit all of its delays, and so which I'm glad to see Vault books getting back on schedule, because I really love my Vault titles, and having to go weeks without Vault, it was very sad. Up next, issue 4 of Slumber from Image Comics, which is another one of those books that Phil always wants to put in picks of the week and has to keep himself, like, limited as much as he can, which I don't know why. You can put all the books in the picks of the week if you want to.
I try really hard to cut it down to, like, 2 or 3 books that really stand out. And it seems like...
Pick everybody, Phil. It's okay.
I know, but I want to make sure that the standouts get their time. Or else picks of the week is going to be the same as the hot new titles, where it's just... It's going to take forever. The show's going to get longer. But this is another one of those where it's like it hits everything that I want in a comic. This is the story of a dream detective as she tries to hunt down this Shadow Queen that is terrorizing. It's not Shadow Queen. I always forget what the character's name is.
Like Kira or something.
Yeah, her name. Yeah, she has some crazy name, but they refer to her as like the Shadow something, or... they kind of give her kind of like a boogeyman title. Yeah. But she has been haunting the dreams of people So this kind of gives you like a little bit of like an Inception aspect to it. As a dream detective, she can go into a person's dreams and knock out whatever nightmares that they're having. And so it's really wonderful because you kind of get this back and forth between like real world and then being in the dream world as well. And so she's kind of teaming up with this detective who was solving a murder case that turns out to maybe linked in with what she's trying to do. So we've kind of been slowly peeling back the layers of all of this as we move towards trying to figure out how to stop Vikira. But yes, book, it has everything.
It does, and another one that's very bright and colorful. And I can't decide what I like more, the mystery on the inside of the dreams or the mystery on the outside. Because especially after this issue, because the mystery on the outside is heating up, and it's like you think that the mystery on the inside is the most important thing, and then you get to issue 4, and they're like, hey, guess what? Don't forget about the outside world.
Right.
Your world is actually really important, and everything that you think you know is in there. It's very much like Inception in that it's like, oh, the whole thing is going to be about this dream detective, this dream work, and then you actually need to be paying very close attention to what's going on the outside. Right. Otherwise, you're going to miss a key element of the story, and they want to make sure you know that after this issue.
And this is kind of one of those books that I thought was going to be very similar to like an I Hate Fairyland.
Me too.
Or the book with the stoner girl who helps the ghosts.
Oh, Dirtbag Rapture.
Dirtbag Rapture. I thought it was going to be very much like that, where it's going to be more comedic and like ridiculous, and I'm not going to learn anything or like have any feelings toward it. It's just going to be, fun, colorful stuff to look at. This book
has been closer to We Have Demons than it has to those.
Yeah, where it's like there is some of that comedy throughout it, but it's got a lot of serious moments too. It's very dramatic. It's just been such a fantastic book to this point.
Yeah, this has been solid the entire way through, and every issue you're like, oh man, I can't wait for the next one at the end of it. So they are doing a great job. So if you haven't read Slumber, this is definitely one to jump on immediately.
Yeah, I was looking at the creative team. So the illustrator is Vanessa Cardinale, and the artist is Simon Robbins. Those are names I'm going to jot down.
Right, you got to pay attention to.
Those are names of creators that I want to see more of, because the color on this book is magnificent, and I love the art style. It kind of gives me a bit like Jorge Corona
very
vibes.
Jorge Corona.
So yeah, if you like the Me You Live in the Darker Middle West and that art style appeals to you, I think this is a book that you should definitely go to.
Yes. Somebody and I were talking about locations of places the other day, and they were like, so it's kind of like on the west, but in the middle. And I was like, yeah, it's very middle west. And they were like, oh, okay. And then I was like, that is the greatest place on the planet now. It's Middle West. I love it. Up next is Blind Alley issue 2 from Behemoth. This book, I don't know what's going on very much in this book. The concept in general is a guy who was one of those enforcer kind of people in the mob, has gone home and is kind of like, I'm getting out of the business. And it's really kind of just a day-to-day life of this guy trying to go clean and nobody really wanting him to. And yet him on that verge of I just kind of want to be a normal person. And it's like one point he's like, I'm gonna get this job delivering pizzas, and then he ends up delivering the pizza, and they're like, can we pay you in drugs and sex? And he's like, I'm just trying to be normal. And then it's like, oh, we need you to go do this, and the whole time all he wants to do is just take care of his grandma. He's like, well, grandma needs me, and they're like, yeah, but we need you to go do this job. And he's like, I'm not in anymore. And so it's very day to day, and it flows day to day, but it also almost feels disjointed because he's only showing us the days where something happens. And it almost feels like a montage of this guy trying to live his life in this issue.
It feels like a bunch of snippets, and I think that's kind of what causes the issue for confusion, is because you're getting all these little vignettes of him alongside all these other people in his life. And if you want to talk about a book that definitely needs an index, this is that book. Because there are a lot of characters that look very similar, and kind of all talk the same. And I'm like, wait, who was this again? Yeah. And I'm very lucky that every time he talks to his dad, he says dad. So I'm like, okay, cool, he's talking to his dad.
I get that one.
Because I thought maybe there was like a scene where he's talking to his dad, but I thought he was talking to the mob boss that let him go in the first issue. And I'm like, wait, is this a flashback? What is going on? And this is a book at the end of issue 1 where I was like, I have no idea where this is going. And I still don't.
Don't. I'm waiting to see, because issue 3 is usually the turn, I'm waiting to see what the turn's going to be in issue 3. Because right now, I feel like you're setting up a lot by telling me, you know, oh, issue 1 was so much of just, I want to get out, I want to get out, I want to do this thing, I want to be normal. And then issue 2 is a montage of being normal, but also kind of moving the story forward in those montage moments. Like, okay, the only thing that matters is Grandma. And Grandma going, oh, let me make you food, let me do this, and just being really sweet, but then him seeing cars outside of Grandma's place that never leave, and being really weary, and we don't see anything going on with those cars, we just see his face as he's watching those cars. Yeah. And then, you know, Dad being really, really hard on him, and his friends that are like, yeah, you can be out, but, like, come do these jobs for us. Right. And so it's like, you are still moving the story forward, and then, you know, oh, the love of my life is still here, and I, like, maybe I can get back in with her, and they're like, ooh, watch out for that. And so you're moving the story forward, but it does feel like a little confusing during the montages. But at the same time, when you step back and look at it, you're like, I know that you're doing something. And now I'm assuming that in issue 3, something is going to go down and the whole narrative of the story is going to change. Right. And we're going to see him have to respond in some way. And that's when I'm like, I can't wait to see what happens in issue 3, because I've been waiting for issue 3 this whole time, because I feel like something as big is going to happen in issue 3. But I don't know what it is. And now with this montage, I'm like, it could go in any direction. Like before, I thought I knew exactly. I still think something's going to happen to Grandma, and I'm going to be mad about it. But I need to know what happens to bring a turn. But also because I need to know what happens so that I can piece all these puzzle pieces together. Because right now, this book very much feels like a puzzle. Yeah. And I've gotten, like, issue 1 gave me the edges. And then issue 2, I'm putting together, like, something, like, a little bit over here and a little bit over here and a little bit over here. And I feel like the next issue is going to fill in that gap. Right. That's going to make the whole thing make sense. And I'm going to be like, damn, this book is good. But I need that issue to, like, fill in the gaps. And so I'm waiting for that issue. I hope it's issue 3, because I want to know what's happening with this character. And again, I'm worried about Grandma. But
yeah, it's definitely one of those, like, once I know where it's going. Because a lot of the times with the books that I read, where I'm like, I'm kind of on the fence if I like this or not, it's usually, there's always that mentality of, like, yeah, but if I can see if it goes a certain direction, I'm really going to love this book. So I always kind of wait for it to unfold, but we still haven't gotten that yet.
We haven't gotten there yet. We're only on issue 2, but if you like those crime books, like the crime mafia movies and stuff like that, this is that story that you're probably going to jump onto and be like, oh man, I do love this, but I have no idea. I get more questions than answers so far in the first 2 issues, which sometimes ends up being the best books.
Yeah. I also do want to say, because I've learned recently that I think it's important to say these things, there is some un-PC dialogue in this book. Yes. There are some very inappropriate words that are used in here, but just understand that it is because it is something that exists in this type of culture. Yeah. But I always just like let people know, because I know sometimes words can be very triggering for people. Yeah. So just be aware, but definitely continue reading it, because it could get interesting.
And I haven't made a tag for that book. Usually when I make the, like, wall tags, I try to say, like, hey, this is what your, like, trigger warning might be. I haven't made a wall tag for that yet, so it's not labeled on there, so I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Up next, Devil's Highway Volume 2, Issue 2 from AWA Upshot. You mentioned this earlier about how we got this second volume of Devil's Highway, which I'm so excited we did. It took a minute because Benjamin Percy is, of course, writing all of the things at Marvel. Yeah. But
anything with Wolverine
in it, Benjamin Percy is writing. But I love this book. If you didn't read Volume 1, this is the story of a girl whose father is murdered, and she goes back to the town that she's from to figure out what the murder who the murderer is, and discovers an entire, like, cult, hostile style killing ring from people who drive semi-trucks. It's like, what if the entirety of, like, semi-trucks, there was a whole cult of people who just killed people in the cabs, and we would never know because they're always on the move, and there's no way to actually check that. And she starts to uncover all of that. She's unraveling this mystery, and in the volume 1, she kind of figures out, okay, that is what's going on. And now in volume 2, she's like, well, somebody's got to go after these people, and I guess it's got to be me because I know what's going on. And so volume 2 has been her piecing it all, like, her, now that she's pieced it together, like, going after these people and trying to get more info. And every issue, she just kind of falls further and further down this rabbit hole and gets in deeper, and we see how far this terrible cult really goes, and all of the things that they're doing. And they recently, in volume 2, when it starts out, they actually save a child from this. And so it is just getting really crazy. And it's AWA Upshot, so you get, like, this real world dark story. Right. If you're a fan of true crime and you don't read AWA books, you are missing out on a whole world of true crime in comics, because that's pretty much what AWA kind of feels like for 90% of their titles. Yeah, 80% of their titles.
Yeah, this is one of those that I trade read. AWA is one of those fantastic companies that does the $9.99 trades for everything that they do.
And within a month of the series, like the volume ending.
Yeah. And so I actually picked up the first volume when I was on an episode here.
Yeah.
And you had just kind of told me what it was about, and I immediately was like, I'll take this. It's really good. I mean, Benjamin Percy.
Great writer.
Such a talented writer. And it's great. Now that I know that this volume is her, like, all right, now it's time to do something about it, that hypes me up so much.
Yeah, dude, if you didn't read volume 1, read volume 1. And if you did read volume 1, get super hyped, because this book goes in all the places you wished, like, you would go after volume 1.
Yeah, I'm very excited. That first volume was crazy. The art and everything. So I'm definitely excited to see. And I kind of hope that maybe we get more than, hopefully we get more than volume 2.
Yeah. The Ocean Will Take Us issue 3. Sorry, I'm laughing. Matt had been like, there was another book that you were talking about this week that I wanted to read and we could not remember. And so that was it.
It wasn't even this week. It's just in general. What is a book that I've been meaning to read?
Yeah.
Devil's Highway's back.
Yeah. And so he, like, all day today, like, we just had, like, a 15-minute conversation about it and couldn't remember. So he's, like, over there, like, that's it.
Yeah, I was trying to piece my thoughts together, but I was like,
Matt's
is
like,
something wrong with this book? What happened?
No, yeah. Yes, Eddie, pick this one up. The Ocean Will Take Us, issue 3 from Aftershock. This is, first of all, I did get, this is going to stay YA the entire time. I'm very happy that my Aftershock rep actually reached out to the editors of Aftershock to make sure. So I can say this is a YA title from Aftershock. And it very much, I always say it feels kind of like watching something like Buffy or something like that in the way it's done. But this is the story of a kid who moves to a new town. And he was like the star swimmer where he came from. So his one thing is like, maybe I'll join the swim team. And he goes to join the swim team, and it is not what he thinks it is. There's kind of a weird, again, cultish kind of relationship between the members of the swim team and the ocean. And as this goes on, we figure out that there's something in the water. And these kids on the swim team and their coach are all involved. But issue 3, we learn that there's more people involved than just them. And we've got a group of kids who are now working together. They even make the joke that, like, what are we, like the Scooby-Doo gang and stuff. But we have this group of teenagers who's like, we have to figure this out. Let's, like, look into this. Let's go see what's going on. So they started investigating their own parents. They started investigating other people in the town. And we are starting to unravel this mystery. this book, this is another one of those where every issue I'm like, wow, that got better than I thought it was going to be. Like, it's already good. I was sold on issue 1, and I'm like, where is this going? I'm totally in. But the more issues that come out, the more I'm like, okay, I want to keep going. Like, give me more. Like, you could don't 5-issue me Aftershock. Like, just keep going. It's going to be 5 issues. Like, we know that. It's going to be 4 or 5 issues. I would imagine with this one, it's going to have to be 5 because we just started our investigation. But this one leaves on the cliffhanger because we've got a lot of characters who are connected to members of the swim team, and stuff's starting to move, and people who are connected to some of the people higher up. And so we're starting to see their sloppy investigation is starting to leave them in some messy places, and I can't wait to see what happens in issue 4.
Yeah, they don't say anywhere on the book. Most of them have like a rating system of some sort.
No, books do not. Comic books, so only Marvel and DC really truly have a rating system.
Right.
And they're terrible. Sorry. Throwing that out there, Marvel and DC. Marvel's rating system is literally like E for everyone, T for teen, teen plus, and then mature, but they don't really use that. And if you actually look it up, E for everyone is probably good for younger people, ask your parents. And then teen is like probably good for kids 13 and up, but ask your parents. And then teen plus is like probably good for kids 15 and up, but ask your parents. Yeah. And then mature is like just not good for kids. That's not a rating system. DC's is a little bit better, especially, and that's because they do have a handle on the kid, middle grade, like, right. YA. And I talked to my Aftershock rep about this because, I talked to the Comic Book League of Defense about this, and they were saying that a big part of it is that because of the Comics Code Authority, a lot of people are really hesitant to go in the direction of a rating system because they have, like, PTSD. Let's be honest, most of us weren't publishers and, like, readers when the Comics Code Authority came into play, though. But I think that if we are going to start, we are a part of the publishing industry, and we want to talk about ourselves as a part of the publishing industry, so we should treat it like an extension of that same publishing industry and just use the same model they already have. The publishing industry for kid and middle grade and young adult does a really, really great job of saying, hey, this is a book, this is ages this to this. Specifically, it doesn't have to be only those ages. YA, young adult, is not only for teenagers. It's just the protagonist is this age. It's probably, like, the themes might not be suitable for younger than that. It's a great rating system. I have a rating system for comics that we use at Bad City. If you're ever really nervous about, like, oh, who is this really for, you can come ask us. Specifically me, I have a rating system. We are going to be making some videos also to help kind of, like, with that guideline. Because I talked to them, when Aftershock launched Seismic Press, they said we're launching a new young adult press. And then they released Rainbow Bridge. Rainbow Bridge is a middle grade book. And we don't register, and then it's like, okay, so then this has to come into just the regular Aftershock line because they don't feel like it fits in with Rainbow Bridge.
Right.
Well, that's because Rainbow Bridge is a middle grade book. This is a YA book. And so that's why I specifically asked my rep to kind of talk to them. I was like, look, it feels very teen, but you don't have, at this point, you really don't actually have a teen imprint. You have a young adult imprint. You have a middle grade imprint.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why you didn't print it on there. And he's like, ooh, good question. We've never really looked at that, like, in those capacities. And so I think that's something that we're still figuring out in the comic industry, where we want to fall on that and how we want to do it. I think DC did a really good job referencing, like, DC Kids versus DC Teen. And they have those different lines, but we're not there as a part of the publishing world completely yet. And we're still trying to figure it out. I appreciate the growth and expansion that we've had of inclusion for kids and teens and middle grade and all of that. And we're starting to see way more of it. We just don't know how to talk about it yet. So don't worry. We're going to be doing a lot of talking about that for Bad City over the next year. So you're going to hear me talk about it way more than you ever want to. But it is a teen title. They don't have a rating system. There's not a standardized rating system for comic books. But if you are somebody who has the authority to make a standardized rating system for comic books, call me, because I already have one that I use that I'd love to just give you. Up next, from the Sandman universe, is Nightmare Country issue 3. we're going to call it from Vertigo Comics, but really it's from DC. And this has been the coolest thing because James Tynion is writing this book, and Lissandra, who does the art for Redneck, who is amazing, does the main art on this. But if you've read the original Sandman, you know that like the art looks very different when they go into the dreaming world. And so one of the cool things they've done on this series so far is they've brought in a different artist for the dreaming world every time. So on issue 1, they brought in Yannick Paquette. On issue 2, they brought in Sorrentino. And then on this issue, they brought in Francavilla. And I don't know where you go after that. We've been talking about it in the store all week with people, and I feel like next has to be like Martin Simmons, who does Department of Truth, because like where else do you find somebody who does crazy off the wall art like that? But it's been really, really cool. I need to say, if you have never read Sandman, you can read this book and you are not lost.
That's good.
I've read 1 issue of Sandman in my entire life. If you want to know why, come in. I'm not going to waste the entire like live stream explaining my Sandman, like reasons why I haven't read all of Sandman yet. But if you haven't read more than that, I'm not lost. I get it. I get what's going on. Like I have pieced together anything like that because James Tynion. So James Tynion does a great job of being like, this is that little thing that you needed to know. Let me put that into this one line of dialogue that makes you make sense. Will this story be 100% magnified if you are a huge Sandman reader? Absolutely. I can read something and I'm like, I bet that's an Easter egg. That feels Easter eggy. I don't know what it means, but it feels Easter eggy, but it still makes the story goes just fine, but it feels like the kind of dialogue that's like, oh, or like the art is something that's an homage to something we've seen before. So if you are a Sandman fan, you definitely need to be reading this. If you're a James Tynion fan, just pick it up because it's great. And that's most of the subscribers for it are like, I get everything Tynion, just put it in my box. Right. And so many of them have come in and been like, should I read Sandman? Like, I feel like I should read Sandman now. And I'm like, I don't know. If you feel like you should read it. Like, you know, we've got all these new classic, like these new reprints of Sandman. Might as well jump in now. Seems like a good time. Or listen to the audiobook with James McAvoy.
Yeah.
But it's been great. It follows the Corinthian, as there is all this stuff about somebody else is kind of using their weird, like, smiley eye, like teeth eyes, and attacking people, and everybody that has seen this image essentially has died in the last 6 weeks. And so the Corinthian is doing an investigation to actually help people, which is something that I have pieced together from this book is not something that the Corinthian is known for doing. So again, you can figure it all out. It gets weird. It gets creepy. It's James Tynion. It's weird. It's creepy, but things happen that are really cool and great storytelling. And you get awesome art and a new amazing artist every week. Francavilla, the spreads that Francavilla did on this one were great. And in issue 2 and issue 1, you had Yannick Paquette and Sorrentino, so the paneling was stupid. Right. Like, it was just incredibly good. Like, I mean that in the most positive way possible. Like, it's stupid good. Yeah. Like, it was, both of them have just the weirdest, coolest panel designs ever all the time. And so, having the two of them on issue 1 and issue 2. Again, I don't know where you go from here. You got, like, 12 issues left, James Tynion. Like, slow down on who you're getting as your artist, because you're going to run out of crazy off-the-wall people very quickly. But we'll see where we go. Yeah,
I mean, there's obviously a ton of very talented artists out there that could do it. I'd like to see one of the two from Adam Strange from Strange Adventures.
Doc Shaner
or
Mitch Gerads.
Yeah, Mitch Gerads.
I would love to see that.
Who's the artist that does Silver Coin?
Oh, Michael Walsh. Michael Walsh would do great on a dreaming thing. I would love to see Michael Walsh. Saying I would actually be interested to see what Peach would do with the dreaming world. Ooh. Especially as, like, an alternative to... Because you see Lissandro does most of the story, and so, like, Peach as a flip side to Lissandro would actually... Like, I actually just want a book now that Peach Momoko and Lissandro do opposite, like, page work. The other one I really want... And this is just dream casting, essentially. But if you could, Marguerite Sauvage could do...
Oh, yes.
Give me that as Marguerite. Like, I actually just want an entire dreaming book of Marguerite Sauvage's art now, because that is what my dream world looks like. My dream world is designed by Marguerite Sauvage. Like, that is
all
phenomenal.
That color.
So, I know there's a million, but I'm like, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Frankville is a big get for issue 3.
Big get for an issue 3 too. But it's 3-issue rule. They were like, hey, Shannon's telling people to stop reading books after the 3rd issue if they don't like them. We might as well throw Frankville like right now. Just like, hey, don't hesitate. Frankville is on this book. So, congratulations, Nightmare Country, for your incredible art team that will probably get Eisner nominations next year.
Well, they know they're going to always have you with Tynion.
You always have people with Tynion, and with Sandman. You always have people with Sandman. So,
I mean, you could have a child draw this book and people are still going to pick it up.
Yeah, that's true. I would love to be... Oh, that said, I was like, because I have... No. Oh. I would... That said, because I have the childlike creation of Sybil from Autumnal, I would actually like to see Chris Sheehan do some the dreaming side of it for a minute, because that would be really, really cool. I'd love to see what Chris would... They would do an incredible job. And
it's a possibility.
Do it. Right, because Tynion knows Chris, so throw it in there. Yeah. Call him up, Tynion. Pulse of Ikarus, issue 4 from Scout Comics. This is the end of this volume, at least, of Pulse of Ikarus. Okay. I don't know if it's the end of the story, but this very much is the, like, hey, we're taking a break kind of moment in the story.
Interesting.
At least it felt like that for the end. I don't know if you read this one, but...
I did not read this one. This is one of those
I feel like... Let me see. I'm like, did I lie? No. See, look. Yeah, we have like a walk away moment at the end. So
and it says the trade's coming.
Yeah, so this is at least volume 1.
Interesting choice. I felt like we were just getting started.
I know. I need more. Okay, before we go into what it's about, Scout, just hear us now. We need more, and we will drive to the Scout headquarters and tell you that in like 2 months. Yeah. But until then...
I'll probably be at the Scout headquarters every other week,
telling you how much he needs more Cult of Ikarus.
It's just like, hey, more of this. Oh, also this book, more of this.
More We Don't Kill Spiders. Just a Smocky, I'm looking at you for that.
All hardcovers, please.
No, keep trades. Both. You can do both. You can
do both.
Yeah, because I like trades. Anyway, Cult of Ikarus is all about a young girl who realizes that learns that she is half vampire and half human, very like Blade-esque kind of thing, and her parents were being hunted by the Cult of Ikarus, which is essentially what they call the vampires in this book. It's like the main tribe of vampires, which I love because, of course, Ikarus couldn't fly too close. Ikarus flew too close to the sun, and he died, and vampires can't go near the sun. It's such an awesome title. Great job. I really... hope we get a spinoff that's just about the cults, and specifically because I want to see more of them. But this kind of feels like if you took Underworld and Blade and then some like kick-ass girl book, and you mixed them all together, what you would get out of it, because we've got some incredible female leads. We've got sibling rivalry. We've got this one girl who's like, I don't want to be here, but who's got this Blade like life story. I mean, she even has a Whistler and everything. Yeah, you get you get a Blade story in there. But the cult feels like the vampire group in Underworld.
Yes.
It feels very much like the dynamics, like, oh, we have to wake the elders and we have to do this. I don't care. I love it. I'm a sucker for vampire things. And this is one of those that, like, when it first came out, I was like, you sold me on your satin cover, because Scouts keep making those satin covers, because I will buy anything you put in that. But you sold me on the cover, and it's how soft it is. And then I read it and I was like, I love this book. We'll see where it goes. And then every issue has just been like, okay, I need more. And now your trade stopping me. I feel like I just got blocked a little because we just moved to a trade for a moment. But fantastic book. If you are a fan of vampires in any capacity, you need to read Cult of Ikarus. Great art, great colors, great story.
Yeah, I feel like out of all, there's so many vampire books, I feel like this one kind of sits at the top for me because of the art alone. I don't know if this is going to have any value to anyone else, but I feel like this is a movie. If this was turned into a movie, I feel like I'd see Prince in this.
Oh, 100% Prince is a vampire in this world.
Like, yeah, like this would be the kind of movie that I would see Prince pop up in. And he would do the soundtrack as well. So I don't know if that means anything to anyone else, but in my head, like when I read this, I'm just like, I would love to see Prince in this.
I would love to see Prince, like, in... You know what? Prince is the friend that is like, oh, well, I mean, well, of course, I wouldn't turn you in, and then it's like, well, what do you expect of me? Like, I've got a life to live. That's Prince. He even has, like, Prince's hair.
But then sings a musical number about why he did it.
Why he did it, and the soundtrack is fantastic in my brain.
I imagine that, because there's a lot of really cool characters.
You know, bring Prince back from the dead as a vampire in real life, and then he can just make this movie.
I'm in.
I'm in. Let's do it. All right. Cultivator, let's read it and then cast the undead Prince in it. Endangered, issue 1 from Blood Moon Comics. This is one they sent me a postcard about, where I was like, I got a letter from Blood Moon, and I was really excited.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Did you guys read it?
I did. I always try to make sure to read the number ones.
Yes.
This is a story, another one of those, hey, Earth is uninhabitable.
We fucked up.
It's time to look elsewhere. So this is the story of I want to say they're a major corporation, or it was a government, something that was like, hey, we're going to build this giant space station in space. We're going to get together a bunch of the top scientists and some military people. And over time, we are going to be able to return to Earth. We're going to make it habitable again. They've created this like radiation deducing thing that they can shoot into the atmosphere. And so they put a bunch of soldiers on, cryo sleep.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we're going to wake you up in like 50, 60 years once we think we're ready to go back down there. And you're going to go back down and see if Earth is actually livable for the rest of us to come back. And that's kind of where this issue leaves off, where it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to go to Earth, but now we got to figure out what's on Earth.
I love the dynamics of the people, because you have all the people who have been on this space station for the 50, 60 years, who are like, hey, we've earned our spot, we know this, we do this. And then you have the people who have been cryo-frozen who are like, I don't know, we were brought here to do this. Yeah. Like, we're literally only here to do this. And so you've got this group dynamic that's already really, like, not meshing well.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out, hey, how are we going to work together? How are we going to make this happen? But it's funny because we're about to see all these Predator variants come out, and I feel like we're about from Marvel, and I feel like we're about to live Predator and Endangered. Like, we are the endangered species in this story. I already can tell you that's where the title comes from. Like, we are gonna be the like it's stupid. This is one of those where I'm like, please don't go back to the Earth. Like, don't do it. Don't go. Yeah. You're making a terrible decision. Like, I feel like Willy Wonka, like, talking to the page, like, don't do that. That's terrible. You're gonna die. You probably shouldn't do that.
Well, there's this moment in where the guy who's been sleeping for so long, Captain
something. Captain
he's a captain. He's a captain.
Yeah, the captain.
He's doing this, like, it's right here, where he's like, if you look at these photos of Earth, there's this large vegetation that's covering up the surface. So we have no idea what's on there, and it could be highly dangerous. And they're like, all right, well, good luck.
Yeah, and he's like, we should take all these weapons. And they're like, well, it's probably fine. Yeah. Like, we didn't see anything. And he's like, we should take weapons. And I'm like, oh, man, this is going to turn into Predator really fast. And I'm sold.
Yeah.
I put Arnold Schwarzenegger in it and call it a day.
You know what's crazy? This book reads so much like an 80s action movie.
It does.
Like, there's even a scene where this girl who's been training her whole life, and I may have already skipped it, but there's a scene of, like, no, I haven't gotten to it yet, where they're like, oh, I've been doing this my whole life and preparing for this, and they're having kind of, they're, like, sharing their differences. and they're kind of like working their stuff out. And at the very end, there's this panel down here where they're like shaking each other's hands, like, we're gonna do this together. And you're like, oh my god,
right?
This is so cheesy.
Yeah, it was like
in a wonderful way.
In a wonderful way. I'm sold. Blood Moon, just do it. Just go for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous. There's gonna be a lot of cheesy dialogue. But yeah, I think if you're a fan of like Predator, then this is going to be a really good book for you.
Yeah. And it has little alien elements in it. Like, they have the android who's like, oh, I'm here to, like, do this. And I'm like, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
I got my eyes on you.
You're evil somehow.
You're somehow evil, and I know it. You're just trying to tell me that you're helping us, but you're really on the bad guy's side, and I don't know how, but you are.
Also, a little bit of, like, C-3PO aspect to it, where you're like, this is annoying.
Droid.
Yeah, it's like, you're annoying.
Like, if you are the bad guy and they kill you, I'm not going to be mad about it. I just really like your hair. Seven Sons Part 1 from Image Comics. This is, and I remembered, this is the first J. Lee creator-owned title since 1994. Wow. That is insane.
That's crazy.
Insane. But J. Lee has returned to create our own titles, which means J. Lee on interior art and not just a cover. Which we haven't seen since 1994.
Stoked. That alone was like, all right, cool. I will read this just for that. And then I read the book and I was like, oh no. This is in a futuristic world where... trying to remember exactly how this goes.
The second coming of Christ is predicted, but 7 people are born who all have the ability to do the miracles.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like, which of the 7 will be the actual second coming of Christ? And it's who actually survives to the date that the Christ was supposed to come back.
Yes.
So it's not even like, oh, they all are, or, oh, well, the one who does this. No, it is like, all of the rest are going to die and one will live. And we have hit the point where we think the one has been chosen because there's allegedly only one left. Yeah. But we wouldn't have a book if that was true. So exactly. Now we've got who is this guy who's doing stuff?
Yeah, this random person that kind of shows up throughout the book and you're like, wait a second.
Who looks way more Jesus-like because he's like homeless and like, like all dirty and is just trying to be nice to people. And you're like, oh, well, that's suspicious, like, and then something happens, and then suddenly, like, some other things are going down, and you're like, and there have been bets on this, and, like, stuff all throughout time, because we're humans, so we made it terrible.
Yeah, this feels kind of like, I get a lot of feelings of, in this book, very much like The Boys, where it's like how superheroes, or not superheroes, but like in this one where religion is very like corporatized.
Yeah.
And very much in the, like there's a lot of scenes, like there's a whole section of this where they're on like a talk show talking about this guy who's like obviously the son. It's like, oh, this is the one we've chosen.
Yeah, it feels like the other Fannie Mae of it all. Like, it feels like the whole like televangelist experience.
Yes.
Kind of thing, like what if we knew that and we like blew that up? Like this is all of that kind of experience, and I'm really intrigued to see where this goes. I would have been intrigued to see where it goes just because I want to see J. Lee do an entire series of art.
Yeah.
But then I read it and I was like, okay, I'm just intrigued now to see where it goes because it is such a religious commentary. It's a humanity commentary. If you know me, you know that Second Coming is actually one of my, if not my favorite comic book of all time. It is one of my top 5 favorite comics of all time. So anything that like is that religious commentary, I'm usually sold on. And it kind of also feels. Did you see the movie Whatever Happened to Monday or whatever? It was about the 7 siblings.
I did not. I almost watched it, but then I was like, I don't remember what held me back.
It seems cheesy by the name and that it's like an Amazon exclusive or whatever, but it was actually like a really, like, I was like, oh man, that was actually a really good story. And this kind of feels like that. It's like, what we're going to figure out what happened to the other 6 siblings slowly over time. And we're going to see this investigation, but also like the concept of, we would corporatize it and we would, what can we can sell this and we can make it a thing and we've picked our winner.
Yeah.
but we're completely missing the fact that, like, the actual seventh son is over here doing miracles and things like that. So I'm in. Whatever. G.I.L.T, just draw stuff. Yeah,
I'm definitely very intrigued. The G.I.L.T aspect of it is definitely a big draw for me, but I am definitely curious. I always like to watch, like, those religious documentaries that they put on Netflix and stuff. They just did one about the FLDS church.
Ooh.
And so all that, as much as I try to steer away from the conversation of religion, I'm also very intrigued by it. And this is kind of one of those moments where I'm like, this is really interesting. I kind of want to learn more about this, like, prophet, you know, who's like, I was the one that foresaw this coming, and I have all these things. And
that guy, that televangelist guy. I have thoughts on him already, but come into the store and I'll talk to you about that.
I think it's going to be a good book, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the opposite. I never try to steer the conversation away from religion. I have spent my entire life studying it, so anytime a book is about religion, I'm like, oh, let's do this, because I've spent my entire life, like, studying it and based in it, and I have lots of opinions, so I want to see literary concepts that tackle it head on, and I want to have a conversation about it. So let's do this.
Yeah,
J.L.T, let's go, especially because that's a non-American artist,
right,
also doing it, and it's about America's take on religion. And so I'm always in for how other cultures see our approach to religion, because it's not like Christianity is not an American concept, but the way that Christianity is done in America is. And so it's always interesting to see people who are non-American have that conversation. And so that's why I'm like, let's see what J.L.T has to say.
And I love it because in this first issue, too, it kind of feels like it ties in with, like, capitalism and social media and pop culture and, like, all these things that make America what it is. Yeah. And you're just like, I could see other people viewing it this way across the world. It's like, oh, okay.
So in. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to Matt about that book. A Calculated Man, issue 1 from Aftershock Comics. First of all, here's your speculation warning. This book was before it ever came out, was optioned by Hulu and is already in works for becoming a show. So if you're So if you are a speculator, you need to pick up this book. Maybe not this particular copy, but you do need to pick up the book because it is one of those that people are talking about. That said, you know that Paul Tobin is a fan favorite at the store because of Bunny Mask. But this is Paul Tobin's new book. And do you want to tell them what it's about?
Yes. Have you ever seen the movie The Accountant?
It's about that.
With Ben Affleck and Anna Kendrick? And the guy who plays Punisher? What's his name?
Thomas Jane.
No.
No.
John
Barenthal.
John Barenthal. He plays in the
Shane
Netflix show.
on The Walking Dead.
There we go.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. If you've seen The Accountant, this is that book here. You have a guy who's very intelligent. He's very mathematical in the way he views the world. He has a mind that, like, he can remember every detail of every moment that he's ever experienced. And he was...
Which, I love the way they showed that.
I did too, yeah. I just showed it on the previous page. They kind of break it down where they're like, hey, here's this, like, one scene throughout the day, and here's all the different things that he, like, memorized down to the color and the license plate on a car.
Yeah.
And he was an accountant for a mob family for many years. And he got out and went into the witness protection program. And now it seems like he may have been found. And I've realized recently that when I'm reading a book, if there's a moment in the story where the main character's like, there's all these bad guys, I need to kill all of them, usually I'm like, I love this book.
Yeah. I literally was like, did you read it yet? Do you like... what did I say? I handed it to you and said, do you like The Accountant with Ben Affleck? And you were like, yes. And I was like, great, read this book.
Yeah.
And then after you read it, I was like, it's The Accountant, but like also a killing spree. And I know you love those things.
Yeah. The only thing this book is missing is the Anna Kendrick character, essentially.
I don't like Anna Kendrick at all.
And most people don't. which is fair.
So I'm okay with not. I agree that it needs like the sidekick character who's like the naive person who's like, what? But we're getting that from the detective. Yes. So I feel like the detective is going to be the Anna Kendrick kind of character. So I feel like at some point those paths are going to cross, and I'm very excited to see how that works. Also, it's Paul Tobin, so I feel like no matter what, the second I think I have this book figured out, he's going to flip it, and I'm going to be like, well, damn.
Yeah, this book, right off the bat, first issue was fantastic. Yes. You know, it's kind of the setup to, all right, I have to go do this thing now and kill this whole crime family. But, like, the way that he kicks it off in this first issue was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I like the way that he goes about it, because it's not one of those, like, he's not going to be that guy that just kicks down the door and starts shooting. Like, everything is going to be calculated.
There's no other way to say that, and I was really hoping you were going to say it.
But yeah, he's going to be really smart about everything. And
it's so good. Like, and I love watching his brain work.
Yes.
His brain, I always say I want to crawl inside of the brain of some of these characters that we see, and I love that this is literally just Paul Tobin crawling inside this man's brain and then throwing it up on the page, and we get to see it. And
it makes for these like really great little moments. Like, he has this guy that he kidnapped and is driving around with him in his trunk, and in one moment he hands him a sandwich and he's like, it's bacon, tomatoes, and pickles, because I remember you said that you liked that one time. It's like, you're so human, and yet you're not, because your brain doesn't operate that way.
Yeah.
But this is one of those characters that you're gonna easily get attached to.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, where you're like, I'm rooting for this guy no matter what happens.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. This is a great book, and it's even like you said, Paul Tobin, such a great writer.
This, to me, like, we have a lot of really good horror books coming out of them, but honestly, to me, this almost crime family-esque drama seems to be Aftershock's strongest suit.
Yes.
Also, just giving Paul Tobin whatever he wants, but outside of Paul Tobin, but just in general, like, the crime drama seems to be Aftershock's strong suit right now, and like, do it, go for it. Yeah. Somebody's got to do it, and I'm glad it's you, Aftershock.
Yeah, and I'm excited that you're doing it with probably your best writer.
100%.
There right now. So I remember seeing a lot of stuff about that one. A lot of stuff on Instagram and stuff about people getting excited for that book.
That's why.
I didn't know it was a speculated book, but
it was optioned like before it was even announced. Yeah, good job, Aftershock. Yeah. Aftershock Media for selling that like really fast. But
also watch The Accountant.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I love Ben Affleck.
Dude, Ben Affleck is underrated. He should still. I know you love.
Yes,
Rob. Outside of the Batman franchise, like, if we just left Ben Affleck as Batman, I'm just gonna say he should be still.
But imagine though if he would have played Batman in that role. It wouldn't. I don't think it would have been good.
No, he shouldn't have been the Batman.
Right.
Like, because that's year one. That needs to be a young kid. And Robert Pattinson. But if you told me Robert Pattinson grows up to become Ben Affleck's Batman, I would believe you.
It'd be cool if they did like two parallel universes going side by side.
Do it. Bring Ben Affleck back for your Justice League and moments like that, guys. I'm here for it.
It bums me out because I know he so badly wanted to redeem himself after Daredevil, and I feel like he did. But the rest of the world was like, well, Justice League was terrible, so you didn't do anything.
And that was Joss Whedon's fault.
Yeah.
That man was not great. So, but Ben Affleck did great. So give Ben Affleck the credit he deserves and bring back Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill while you're at it. Anyway, we got some...
Henry Cavill was coming back.
It's up in the air. Okay. There's lots of talk both ways. We got some picks of the week. And we got some picks of the week. We didn't do a good job of narrowing it down this week.
Yeah, it was kind of tough.
It was tough. Okay, well, let's just stick with Paul Tobin for a second and remind you that Bunny Mask is one of the best books on the shelf right now. Oh, the applause suddenly exists.
Yeah.
There have been lots of applause.
So many really wonderful moments tonight where I was like, "That's."
I know. I looked waiting for the applause, but no, it's only for Bunny Mask.
I feel y'all can't see this, but whenever it's time for me to turn the page, Matt gives me a little hand wave. I feel like every time there needs to be applause, I'm just like.
Right, I'll do it because you're holding the book, so I'll be like, applause.
Yeah.
Now we got it.
Don't piss off the sound guy.
Right. Or the camera operator, either way. He makes us look good, so we should be kind to him.
That's true.
Bunny Mask, The Hollow Inside. This is issue 2 of volume 2 of Bunny Mask. And if you have ever been into our store, you know that Bunny Mask is a store favorite. And it's fantastic. I love that in this volume. I'm just going to do this really quickly because Bunny Mask, the pun, like, what is it? The tagline, but not really because it's not actually a tagline, is what if you became best friends with the girl from the ring? I guess it's the log line because it's not actually listed.
Yeah.
From Paul Tobin.
From Paul Tobin, but not on the book. So, but yeah, Paul Tobin says, what if you became best friends with the girl from the ring? I think you have a little bit more than a best friend relationship if you've read Bunny Mask. If you haven't, we'll give you a copy of the free Comic Book Day Bunny Mask issue if you need to check out who Bunny Mask is. And when I say the little girl from the ring, I mean the one that crawls out of the teepee.
Yes.
The demon from the ring. What if you were friends with that? I love this because in the whole first volume, we had no idea what the hell was going on and who Bunny Mask was. Right. But now Bunny Mask is kind of a superhero, and I loved her already, but now I'm also in love with her. Like, I just think everybody's in love with Bunny Mask, and you should be because she's wonderful. We still have no idea what's going on the story that was happening in volume 1. We're still confused. We don't really know, but Bunny Mask is our superhero, so who cares? That's where this goes.
There's a villain.
And there is a villain. There is an actual villain that Bunny Mask is trying to tell us is terrible. And it with all, like, volume 1 was like, hey, there's a lot of questions, and they're kind of working through those in volume 2. But at the same time, we're seeing Bunny Mask actually take on an actual villain, and so that's kind of like, in the first volume, you're like, is Bunny Mask the good guy, is the bad guy, like, what's going on? You're kind of seeing, like, maybe Bunny Mask is the good guy. Maybe we don't know. Maybe Bunny Mask is still the bad guy, but Bunny Mask is at least on our side enough in this moment. Bunny Mask is on your side as long as you're not a dick. Let's just say that, which is why I love Bunny Mask. She's wonderful, and she's amazing. And Andrea Moody's art is perfection. And Taylor Esposito should have been nominated for Best Letterer at the Eisners.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, this is one of those that, like, I remember getting to the end of volume 1, and I was like, is this going to be one of those books that none of my questions are ever answered, or every time they answer one question, another question arises? Yes. But I love the direction that they're taking this book in. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be this route.
And it's so much deeper this time.
Yeah. And, you know, it's crazy to think, like, going back to that first issue where it was just in that cave.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, okay, is this going to be a whole book that just takes place in this cave? What's going on? Like, are we just going to keep coming back to this? But this book just seems to get better and better.
Every time.
Yeah.
I have to tell y'all my ghost story now. I know we don't have time for it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So I came in the other day to the store in the morning, and all of the Bunny Mask issues were on the floor.
Uh-oh.
There's not enough Bunny Mask issues. You can see there's not enough Bunny Mask issues for it to have fallen off the shelf on its own. And it's in the Aftershock thing, so the Aftershock box goes deep and leans. It's made perfectly for it. And actually, Maniac of New York is actually teetering. Maniac should actually fall off. Bunny Mask had fallen off. Here's the thing. Not every copy was upside down. And the old copies and the new copies were interwoven. It wasn't just like issue 2s were on the bottom, or issue.
Because the old ones are in the back.
Yeah, and the old ones are in the back. So issue 2s from the new series were not on the ground, on the bottom. They were like towards the top. Issue 1s were like mixed in, and then the old volume were like all over. And not everything was upside down, and nothing was on the boxes that are right beneath the Aftershock shelf. They were all like spread across the floor.
Yeah.
So, Bunny Mask has been in the store, apparently, reading, and reminding everybody that they should be buying Bunny Mask. Matt's hoping Bunny Mask is in the store.
I think we all are.
It's true.
I think we all
After
are.
these issues.
I'd come move in and live inside the store.
Like, where are you, Bunny Mask?
Just, like, waiting.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I'm ready.
I'm ready. like, is there sickness?
See my teeth.
Yeah. You want me to count them? Like, you're, like, making up all kinds of things to try to get Bunny Mask. You know, do it. Bunny Mask, if you are here, we're fine with it. You can live at Bad City forever. Up next, issue 2 of Grimm, which is from Boom Studios, and this cover is from Jenny Frison, which I always bring the Jenny Frison covers because Phil's here. And
love my Ginny Frizzin covers.
You gotta love your Ginny Frizzin
so
covers.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
She never disappoints.
Never. I was telling somebody, they were like, wow, Ginny Frizzin's so good. Like, they were like, you should have, like, a space for Ginny Frizzin, too. And I go, honestly, Megan Hutchison told me, take down the Megan Hutchison wall and put up a Ginny Frizzin wall. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And she was like, you should. I would.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop it. But if you haven't read Grimm, good luck finding issue 1. Second, third prints are already sold out everywhere as well, so hopefully they go to a 4th print. Ross Ritchie, if you're listening, I just need more prints. But Stephanie Phillips, I am so excited for you that you are having that level of success, because Stephanie Phillips is one of my favorite writers right now. And this is the story of a young girl who is a Grim Reaper. And there are lots of Grim Reapers, and then there's the actual Grim Reaper, who is like in charge of all things death. And this young girl in the first issue is supposed to go and get a person who has died and bring them back to the afterlife, and messes it all up. The whole thing is completely botched, and the guy steals her scythe, and all kinds of like hell breaks loose, no pun intended. And so she's like, crap. And as far as we know, the dead cannot interact with the living, but we see in issue 1 that somehow she can.
Yes. And
issue 2 is 100% just the fallout of what we nailed in issue 1, which is great because we see a lot of Stephanie Phillips Aftershock books, so I feel like it almost read like an Aftershock series so far, where Stephanie was like, here's all the stuff you need to know, and now let's go into the story and like dive deeper. And issue 2 definitely does dive deeper. One of the main things we know about our main character is that she cannot remember how she died. And we were talking about this earlier in the store, is that this is almost like a reverse dramatic irony situation, because we see some images of it, but we don't really understand what happened to her in her death.
Yeah.
And she somehow figures it out, but they never say it out loud.
Yeah.
And so we've seen these little images, but it's like, I don't really know if I know what happened. I have like my guesses about what happened, but I don't actually know what happened. And now they're keeping it off page, so we don't really know, but somehow it is the key to the entire story. And so I love that we're doing an opposite play, where instead of us knowing the character's trying to figure it out, the character just learns something major and we have no idea what the hell that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this book has been written really well. This is kind of one of those where, like, I know it's the afterlife and it's a lot of grim conversations, but I want to live in this world. Like, I love all of these characters. I love the main character, Jess. Mm-hmm. There's these moments where, like, when she gets angry, she kind of turns into, like,
the Reaper face.
The Reaper face, and it looks so cool. It's just, there's so much about it. Like, even when they go to this, like, there's a room in this place where, like, everyone's death is on file.
Yeah.
And it's where the Grim Reaper is. And I love this little interaction between the rock star guy and the girl on the roller skates, where he's, like, playing a song, and she's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this again. And, like,
I want her outfit.
Yeah.
Like, the whole time they're showing the girl on the roller skates, I was like, I just want to be her.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a good book. I'm so excited. Honestly, this is Boom telling us this is our next Something is Killing the Children, but we're not going to say that in case it's not the next Something is Killing the Children, but Boom is basically like, hey, this is the next Something is Killing the Children. They're even using the same, like, title card kind of thing for it. They are really pushing this as their next big universe building story. And so you definitely, if you're not picking it up, like, just whatever your LCS is, whether that's us or somebody else, just subscribe to this book and get in on it, especially now, because we all know issues 3 through 10 of Something is Killing the Children are the hardest ones to get. So if you haven't subscribed to Grimm yet, you might as well just do it now, because you're going to want to go back later and you're going to be like, damn it, issues 3 through 10 I can't get them now.
Yeah.
Like, jump on board.
Yeah, this was the second book that I read this week, after the book you told me to read. This was immediately where I wanted to go next, because I wanted to see where this goes. I want to continue to see where this goes. Honestly, I've come to realize that, like, a strong female lead is something that I want in all of my comics. Like,
absolutely.
I think Yara Flor is kind of what really brought that to the forefront for me, where I was like, I love really badass female characters, and she kind of hits everything that I would want. Like, in the way that Matt crushes on Bunny Mask, I feel like this is my comic book crush, is Jess. Because she's just, I love her character design. I love her costume. I love the way her costume looks. But I feel like she's going to slowly morph into, like, just a total badass. Like, we're going to get some stuff about her that's just going to make her even better.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, this is easily one of my favorite books. I understand why it's one of the hottest books out there right now. And if it does morph into Something is Killing the Children, I could easily see, you know, mini-series that come out of it. Like, I can see this being another one of those world-building. And honestly, Stephanie Phillips is the writer to do that.
Absolutely.
You know, like, talk about someone who takes these really grandiose ideas and brings them to the page, and you don't ever at any moment feel like it's not done right or anything like that.
And somebody who's essentially where James Tynion was when he started Something is Killing the Children. You know, Stephanie Phillips has done books with DC and has had many successful miniseries with Aftershock and has Amanda Maggie at Image. It's kind of like where James Tynion was, where the people who knew that name were like, oh, I like everything they do.
Right.
But, like, most people weren't like, oh, I pick up anything with that name on it. And I feel like this is going to be the moment where people are like, I pick up anything with Stephanie Phillips' name on it.
Yeah.
And you should. You should be picking up everything with Stephanie Phillips' name on it, because phenomenally great writer who, like you said, just takes some great concepts and makes them wonderful.
Yeah. And I didn't even make that comparison to Tynion, but, I mean, if you want to talk about somebody who could easily get to that point, very much like we see Ram V, where it's like every year they're nominated for Best Writer, and every year we're like, you could give it to them. Yeah. Like, if you give it to that person, I don't care. Yeah. And I really do hope so, because I do feel like Stephanie Phillips is one of those names that I mention a lot, and people are like, who? It sounds familiar. Did they work at DC or Marvel? And I'm like, yes, but
like, read Red Atlantis, read Butcher of Paris. Like,
Butcher of Paris.
Yeah. I have both, like, the trade and the single issues of Butcher of Paris because I love it. No, the store doesn't. I do. Yeah. The store might have Butcher of Paris. Does it?
I doubt it. I don't.
We
think.
do.
Oh, wow.
Hell
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Look on the trades.
Right. Look at this. Just look at this. This is a great story. 1944. We've got this is like, what if a doctor for all of that, like, I'm like just essentially Nazis, but I don't want to say that. Like, it's just like, oh, what if we like had somebody who, what if we mixed basically Jack the Ripper and the Nazi like culture like together in the 1940s of Paris, not in Germany but in Paris, and it's so freaking good. You gotta read this book. Stephanie Phillips just crushes it. Also, a Dark Horse book that didn't get a hardcover that needs one.
Maybe they'll come around to it.
Yeah. Hopefully. Stephanie Phillips. You should be collecting things Stephanie Phillips does.
Yes.
Up next in Picks of the Week from Boom Studios, issue 3 of Alice Ever After from Dan Panosian. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to look at it to say it every time. Because I always want to leave out letters every time I say it. But Dan Panosian is crushing this book. This is the story of Alice in Wonderland, essentially, but we are actually seeing Alice outside of Wonderland and maybe what her story was. So, where Alice is, you know, they've had all the problems with her mom. Her dad is the dentist that we this high class society person, and Alice is obsessed with drugs. Alice is on drugs. Alice is doing a lot of drugs. So at the very end of issue 1, Alice checks herself into a into asylum, because it is 1800, so it's into an asylum, and every character from Wonderland is someone in this asylum. And so we don't know if Wonderland is a drug-induced state, or if it's the place she went to, like, her land of make-believe as a child to, like, help her through all this stuff. Or if Wonderland is real. Like, as a reader, you're kind of still, like, it could be any of those. Yeah. But at the same time, you can see how everybody from the real world at this asylum is also a character from it. And it could also be, like, like the way it's drawn, you're like, am I also on drugs right now? Because it looks like it and it draws you into it, and it is so like it is very Animal Castle level in its literary like style of writing. It's very much like, hey, we are taking this classic literary story and we want to stay in that same literary vein. We want to tell the story. We're not bringing it into modern dialogue. We're not changing the story in any way. We are staying in that same literary world 100%. We're just kind of giving you a little bit different of a story in it, but also could be the same story. Right. This is the sequel, essentially, to Alice in Wonderland, but it's helping us figure it out. And it is a sequel to Alice in Wonderland books, not so much just the Disney movie, which was a blend of Through the Looking Glass and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. This is kind of like, we're going to kind of separate some of that and tell you more of, like, the book-related stuff. I'm waiting for, like, the Duchess and stuff to show up because this has been so specific to Alice in Wonderland.
I love this art, too. This art's fantastic.
The art's fantastic. The story's fantastic. This is one of those books that's definitely going to get like some attention next year for awards because it has been flawlessly done the whole way through. And I love the soft muted and then bright color blend that it's doing on the colors for the art. Oh my God, it's so good.
I know we've had a conversation before about Boom, and I think you said that they were trying to be the number 4 spot.
They are trying to be the number 3 spot. It goes back and forth between them and Dark Horse. It's Marvel. Well, you have Marvel and DC, and I guess it is number 4. Marvel, DC, Image, and then Boom is always trying to go back and forth with Dark Horse for the 3rd spot or the 4th spot.
I feel like it's books like this that are slowly kind of pushing Boom ahead of Dark Horse. I mean, we do talk about Dark Horse quite often. But I feel like in terms of what Boom has been doing recently, it's books like this, and of course Grimm, where it's like you are really putting out high quality, solid bodies of work.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about Dark Horse, we've talked about all the stuff that Dark Horse has done like in the past. Mm-hmm. And they're bringing out, like, they're slow-movingly bringing out stuff now that's like, oh, wow, this was really good. This was really good. But it's kind of, you know, oh, here is a thing from Dark Horse, but then we don't hear anything. Yeah. Here we actually, like, Boom is like, hey, hit, and we want you to be paying attention at all times to what we're doing, and they're doing an incredible job, and Ross is doing a great job as, like, editor-in-chief CEO, and the whole team, all of the editors at Boom are just killing it with the books they're pulling. This is a high point for Boom, for sure.
Yeah. And I like the concept. I read the first issue because there was a Jenny Frison cover for it. And I do enjoy that, like, is it drugs? Is it real? Like, I always like when you're trying to, like, play with that and figure out what is actually going on. You know, I always viewed Alice in Wonderland as a very dark story. So I kind of like that this is very kind of playing in that and not trying to make it super Disney and colorful.
That was actually the thing I was disappointed about for the Tim Burton ones, because Tim Burton usually does a very dark take and then made it super bright and comical, and I was like, I was really actually hoping for like an Edward Scissorhands level, like dark, like, you know, Tim Burton story, and you went the opposite direction, and I'm disappointed. Speaking of kids' books turned into darker stories, Bad Kids Press has Stealing Oz issue 2. Want to talk about a sequel to the books. This, if you don't know the Wizard of Oz books, you can still read the book. But, like I was saying about with Sandman earlier, if you do know the Wizard of Oz books, this is a gold mine of Easter eggs and homages. Like, to the point where the Wheelers are in here. So if you've seen Return of Oz, the Wheelers worked for Mombi as the bad guys, and there's actually, like, there are Wheelers in this book, which is fantastic. If you don't know that, you'll still figure it out. They give you enough. But this is the story. It takes place in our world, not in Oz, but it is Dorothy, and she has kind of risen to celebrity status when they realized that what she was saying about Oz was real. But now she's a bank robber with the Scarecrow and the Lion. And we find out in this particular issue why, and I'm going to spoil it because it actually made this whole story better, knowing that that was the situation. And you can see it on the cover. But basically, when Dorothy killed the Wicked Witch, the Wicked Witch's essence got into the ruby slippers because the melted witch was, and they're silver slippers because it's a reference to the book, not the movie, so they're actually the silver slippers. But when she melted the Wicked Witch, it got into her slippers, and so she's actually kind of possessed by the Wicked Witch at this point, the Wicked Witch of the West, and has become this terrible person who is manipulating everybody and is kind of trying to do all this bad stuff like rob banks and lead over the thing. And so it's incredibly great. It's a fun story because you do get all your heist stories, you get the investigations, and the investigation is being done by TikTok and the Tin Man. So I love it because the Tin Man and TikTok are two great Wizard of Oz characters. And they're working with the regular police and they're trying to figure it out. This issue 1 was kind of all the action and the setup and like, oh, we're, okay, we've got bank robbers and we kind of see our Ocean's 11 kind of moment, but with Oz characters. And this story is like, okay, what the hell is going on? Here it is. This is a breakdown of everything. This is how Dorothy became a bad guy. This is how she manipulated the people on her team to become a part of her team. This is what is actually happening and leading us into the story. And again, if you are a Wizard of Oz book fan, or even just Wizard of Oz and Return to Oz the movie, you're going to see a lot of characters that you recognize. But if you're not, it's still, if you kind of have like a general knowledge of it, it's still a lot of fun.
I read the first issue of this, and it was a pick of the week when the first issue came out. And
just be prepared for it to be a pick every time.
The whole time, I didn't say a single word about the book. And I realized that there's no need for me to, because you are the Wizard of Oz expert. So I was like, I'm just going to stay out of this. I'm going to let Shannon do everything. As somebody who's only ever seen that first movie, I enjoyed that first issue.
Yeah.
And I look forward to it. I like the art style. I don't know half these characters outside of the main ones, but it's still really enjoyable. And
the art style is an homage to the original illustrations from the books, which is, I know. That's why I was like, I have to tell you this, because you'll appreciate that, because you love people throwing back to the source material. They are designed to look like the original characters in the books, which is why Dorothy is even blonde.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
I definitely think this is worth checking out. And, Bad Kids Press is one of those where it's like, we want to pay attention. We want to see more. It's been fun so far.
All right, here you go. Let's flip for a second.
Yes. Lance Stanton, Wayward Warrior, issue number 1. So this is from Floating World Comics, but it also says Power Comics. So I don't know if this is something else that they're starting within Floating World Comics. But this is a Phil book all the way.
100%.
Shannon handed it to me when I walked in the store and was like, just start here. This is definitely the first book you're going to want to read. And I'm glad, because it kind of hits all of the stuff that I would want from a book. This is your futuristic sci-fi book. It's in a world where there is a supreme ruler. He rules this kind of domed city, and everything else is an apocalyptic wasteland. And from outside of this domed city, there are people who go against him. So he sends out his top man, his best warrior, Lance Stanton, to go out there and find these people who are against him. And so in this first issue, it's you get to see a little bit of who Lance Stanton is. And he decides to go out into the world, into this wasteland, to find this person that he must kill. And he gets ambushed, and he has to fight off these guys. And then, of course, he meets a damsel in distress, who he must save. This book it's ridiculous. The dialogue is very poorly written. But I think that's kind of the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the letter in the beginning of this book is from the artist, not the writer of the story. And so I think that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be one of those, like, very much like Golden Age, like a Fletcher Hanks book, where it's like you're going to get a lot of, people who are basically telling you their every thought before they actually, like, like there's a moment where like some guy's talking, and it's like, oh, there's Lance Stanton, blah blah blah, talking about him, and then he goes, and I found him, hey Lance, and it's like, oh my god, you know, we didn't need all of that, but it's appreciated. This book, it's really great. It's all in black and white,
and very like coloring book kind of paper.
Yes,
like not even newsprint. It feels like a coloring book, which was very hard for me because I was like, can I color it?
I mean, if you want to, if you really want to. But yeah, it's a really fun book. Like, the main character is one of those, you know, where people see him and they're like, oh, he just looks like a real basic guy. And then he just like totally beats up on people. There's this really great scene here where this old man who he fights, and they never really explain who this guy is. He's just like, oh, you're in my space, so I'm gonna kill you. And the guy throws knives, and he catches the knives and then throws them right back at the guy.
This book was made for you. I got like halfway through, and I was like, why am I even reading this? This is Phil's pick of the week. I don't even need to. Like, I already know. Yeah,
and I love it too, because there's this moment where the villain, I assume he's the villain, he's the supreme leader. You always assume that that's the villain. Mm-hmm. And there's this moment where he's like, he's paranoid that everyone's against him, and he's trying to stamp everyone out who is against him, or he thinks is. And there's a moment where he's like, oh, wait a second. I've trained his mind and his warrior mentality, but I've never given him emotional support, and that's why he's going to turn against me. So eventually Lance Stanton's also going to be my biggest
enemy.
Yeah, enemy as well. And it's just like, this is so ridiculous. But it's a ton of fun. I mean, I really enjoyed this book. This is somebody who, in the very beginning of it, he's like the guy who did this, David Bamford, I think is his name. Yeah, Dave Bamford. He tells a story how he went and learned from John Buscema how to do art.
Yeah.
And he's been a comic book fan his whole life, and now he's finally making it happen.
I like how he even said, like, if you don't like John Buscema's art, well, you're going to hate this book.
Yeah. He says, oh, if that name doesn't ring a bell, just proceed to the back of the class. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. This is, you know, a comic book fan who is finally being able to do what they've always wanted to do. And I think it's great. I think it's one of those where, like, the art's going to be really entertaining. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of Lance Stanton punching holes in people.
Yes.
And just fighting everybody and saving everyone and being a total, like, Mad Max type badass. Yeah. But yeah, this is a ton of fun, and it's Floating World. I feel like I'm always drawn to them. Like, when I'm going through previews, I always make sure to see what's coming out from Floating World. So, also, like, you have this really cool futuristic world, and you name him Lance Stanton, like the most basic name that you could have given somebody to be an Ultimate Warrior type.
Seriously. Up next from Image Comics, and a name that Phil will always pick up, Daniel Warren Johnson. Yes. This is issue 1 of Do a Powerbomb, which was totally not what I thought this book was going to be in any way, shape, or form. And I actually almost forgot to give it to you, and then I threw it at you and was like, oh, wait, this is your pick of the week, too! And I was like, this is Daniel Warren Johnson, like, doing the art and all the things.
And I even remember we talked about this book a couple of times leading up to today.
Yes.
And just kind of talking about how excited we were for this book.
And I'm way more excited after reading it than I was before, and I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, because usually Daniel Warren Johnson, he kind of goes back and forth between having these, like, cool stories with not a ton of depth, but then also having these stories with a lot of depth. And
this is that one.
Yeah, and you kind of, like, going into this, I was like, oh, this is going to be, like, just like an absurd wrestling story. There's not going to be too much that we get into it. And then you read this issue and you're like, holy shit.
I almost cried reading this issue. Yeah. This issue was a lot of depth and emotion. This is all about a young girl who idolizes her mother, who is a wrestler in the Japanese Wrestling Federation. Yeah. And she is like, you see that story of that young girl that kind of is like, I just want to be like, just like my mom. My mom's the coolest. And then we flash forward and we see the young girl kind of pursuing her own dreams. And it's that classic story of, you know, the parent who's like, no, don't follow in that path, don't do that. It's dangerous. We don't want you to live that life. And the girl kind of being like, I'm gonna do I have to live my story, and like, let me make the mistakes I want to make. But the way we get from point A to point B in this story is just incredibly well done.
Yeah, and I love too, because it's obvious that like Daniel Warren Johnson, like one thing, and it's such a small thing, but like the little scene here where they call her name out and everyone throws the streamers. That's like one of those little things in wrestling that I always enjoy. Like my friends and I would go buy a bunch of streamers and then like say, oh, we're going to throw 2 streamers for this guy, or we're going to save all of our streamers for this one. And so like, it's those little things that I really enjoy about wrestling. But then also too, I love that this has a really deep story, and there's going to be a lot of intense character development. Oh God, there's going to be some tears.
There's going to be a lot of tears.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit of tears. There's going to be a lot of tears.
And to top that off, you're going to get Daniel Warren Johnson art involving wrestling.
Yes.
You know, and I remember reading like Crimson Cage and was like, oh, this is such a great art for wrestling. But if there's anyone who could top that, it's
right. This is putting May's book story into Crimson Cage art.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, oh, like the concept of Crimson Cage being based in wrestling, but with May's book as the story. Yeah. Like, this is so well done. And, oh my gosh, I didn't expect it. I thought like you, I was like, this is going to be, you know, the follow-up to Beta Ray Bill. This is going to be Daniel Warren Johnson still being like kind of Murder on the fun. Falcon. Yeah, Murder Falcon. You know? Like, we're on the fun spectrum of Daniel Warren Johnson. And no, this is so deep. This is deeper than Wonder Woman Dead Earth already. Like, it's so good. And wherever this goes, I'm already sold. And it's so good.
But by the end of this issue, especially too, like the last few pages of this issue, where you're like, oh, I'm so in for everything that's going to happen in this book. I mean, you know, I will always stand Daniel Warren Johnson for his art ability alone, but I'm hoping that this is one of the first times where we're sit back and be like, all right, he's a really talented writer as well.
Right. This is that moment where he becomes like Scotty Young, and we start saying, I actually prefer him as a writer, almost to his art, even though his art is phenomenal. Like, I hope this is that moment, and it could be.
It definitely could, because I mean, there's another book that we'll talk about in stocks, but he's definitely not just taking on books as the writer and the artist. Yeah. But it's him and Mike Spicer. He's teamed up with Mike Spicer a bunch of times, so I think it's going to be a phenomenal series.
Yeah. Lastly, in Picks of the Week, the first time we've ever put a hardcover in Picks of the Week, I think. Oh, no, I did Carmen.
Yeah. Carmen.
But this is a initial release. This did not have single issues. This is from Image. This is the first part of the Bone Orchard mythos, which, if you, again, need to know about that, we can give you the free comic book day. But this is Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino on the Passageway.
Yes. So basically, with the success of everything that Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino have done for Image to this point, with Gideon Falls, which was a huge success, and Primordial, basically Image was like, if you want to build this horror universe, you can. And I like it because everything that I've read so far, there's no real definitive, like, kind of what you would see with a miniseries, where it's like every volume is going to be 4 or 5 issues. This is like, hey, we may do like a 3-issue miniseries in single issues, or we may put out these hardcovers.
Or we're going to do like a full 12 issues, or we're going to do this. Like, they're going all over the place with this. So you got to keep up with it, because it's going to be, it's every form of comic that you can get.
Yes, and so we got the free comic book day single issue, which kicked it off, and now we have the Passageway, which is going to be, I guess, technically an original graphic novel.
It's an original graphic novel.
And good Lord, what a way to kick this off. This is the story of a geologist who has to go out to an island that contains a lighthouse. It definitely gives me the Lighthouse vibes a little bit here. Except better. Well, yes and no. I mean, that's a whole nother, we don't even have to get into that
we'll get into those politics in the store if you want, because I think it's better than the Lighthouse.
If you want to come in and have that conversation. But he goes out to check on this kind of phenomena that's happening on this island, which is that there's now a giant hole kind of in the middle of the island. And so he is there to figure out why this hole exists on this island. But you also kind of get flashbacks and a little backstory of this guy dealing with the death of his mother. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of these two stories kind of running side by side a little bit, and then comes to a head at the end. I don't want to give too much away, because I think that one of the things that I do really enjoy about this book is...
You had no idea where it's going.
You have no idea where it's going. Like, you kind of start to form ideas, but it definitely hit that kind of... there's a book series called the Area X books. The first one's Annihilation. They made a movie with Natalie Portman. And that's kind of how the book was, where it's like, hey, there's this, like, mysterious passageway, or this, like, hallway inside the earth that we don't know where it came from, or what its purpose is, or why it exists. And so then you kind of go on this adventure of trying to figure out what that is. And a lot of weird shit happens in between. That's this book. The art's beautiful. I mean, Andrea Sorrentino. I feel like Jeff Lemire every time is just like, hey, just you do what you do.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure the rest is taken care of. But what a great start to this series.
I love that the background of the guy's phone was the cover of Primordial.
Yes.
I was like, I told Matt that, and then I was like, why did I tell you? I should have told Phil. Yeah. Like, I was like, Phil will freak out about it.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, yes, this is so cool. Like, I greatly appreciate that aspect of it. But, yeah, I mean, look at this. The page layouts. I mean, again, I was reading a second ago that Bendis said that Sorrentino and Jeff Lemire will go down as one of the greatest comic teams of all time.
Absolutely.
And I 100% agree. They are my favorite comic team when it comes to creative teams. Just because, I mean, Jeff Lemire has proven time and time again that he is one of the best storytellers in comics. And, yeah, I'm so stoked that they decided to kick this off with a hardcover.
Right, they were just trying to cater to you specifically.
Yeah, honestly, I hope that secretly Jeff Lemire watches all of our live streams and is like, man, this guy really loves all the stuff that I do with Sorrentino. Let's just do this for him. And
that's what I heard. I saw it on Twitter that's why they did that.
Yeah, they're gonna get all of my money. But yeah, pick this up, $17.99 for a nice hardcover.
And make sure you tell, like, whether it's us or somebody else, like whoever your LCS is, that you want them, because when it comes to the hardcovers, a lot of LCSs won't order super heavy on it, especially when it is an OGN, like when it is that original graphic novel, because it's like, oh, I don't know who's gonna want it, and that's a lot of money to invest if nobody does.
Yeah.
So tell them, you know, hey, just get me all of the Bone Orchard mythos, even the hardcovers, and make sure you're taking care of it at the very beginning. Because,
you'll miss out. Like, this didn't, like you said, this didn't come out in single issues. Mm-hmm. This is the story. This is how it's going to be. So just make sure you say, hey, I need it all. Because we don't know how it's all going to come out. It may all just come out hardcovers. You know, they did say that there's going to be, it's a hardcover and then like a 4-issue mini for a different title, and then like a hardcover, and then like, all kinds of stuff. Up next, we've got a lot of in-stocks we're going to go through really fast. I'm handing you this like this specifically because I have to have you show this off. This is Moon Knight Black, White, and Blood #2. And this is Benjamin Percy and Vanessa Del Rey on art. Vanessa Del Rey did the interiors on the Scarlet Witch series that came out not that long ago. And you might recognize it because that was all in red, white, and black as well. Gorgeous art. I was like, I have to read it just for Vanessa Del Rey's art. And I'm so glad I did, because Benjamin Percy told a phenomenal story on top of that. Grab this issue. Other than that, we've got DC's Pride Tim Drake special. This is 3 little mini stories about Tim Drake and coming out and all of that. This is Pearl from Brian Michael Bendis. We've got Undiscovered Country. This is a one-shot of Destiny Man. The Undiscovered Country is actually coming back. There is another volume coming soon. I just ordered it today. Cool. Walking Dead Deluxe issue 41. These are the in-color reprints of Walking Dead. Maynard Black issue 3. This is the new volume, Fire and Blood. Norse Mythology volume 3 issue 5. If you read Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythology, this is the comic adaptations of that. I read somewhere that this is the end of either this volume or it's the end.
It might be the end because we've done 3 volumes now. So Killlock issue 4 from IDW. The Sumerian Hour of the Dragon. If you want some unofficial Conan stories, Conan is the Sumerian. Savage Spider issue 4. I just really think that cover is weird and gross and cool at the same time because he's a spider in the Spider-Man suit. Spider-Man 2099 Exodus. This is introducing Loki 2099, which I heard a really funny thing about that on the internet is like Loki is an immortal god, so is he really a Loki 2099? Because wouldn't Loki just be there? The Marvels issue 11. I love the like layered cover thing going on there. Iron Fist issue 4. Hulkling and Wiccan issue 1, which is the Marvel Unlimited story. Superman Son of Kal-El issue 12. Naomi season 2 issue 4 of 6. I Am Batman issue 10. Future State Gotham, the only Future State story still running, issue 14. Blood Syndicate season 1 issue 2. Batman Urban Legends issue 16, where we actually see Zatanna in a story. It's about time. The Jurassic League issue 2 of 6. I know, Phil, you love that story.
Yeah. Well, it's Daniel Warren Johnson just writing, not doing the art.
Yeah. Batgirls issue 7, but he's doing the cover A's, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Batgirl issue 7 from Becky Cloonan, Michael Conrad, and Jorge Corona on art. Which I think one of my teams is Jorge Corona, Scotty Young, for about best teams. King Spawn issue 11. What If Miles Morales issue 4, where he becomes Thor. Star Wars Bounty Hunter issue 24. This is part of your Crimson Reign tie-ins. X-Men Red issue 3. This is the AAPI Heritage Month issue. Captain America Sentinel of Liberty issue 1. This is your Pride variant with Aaron, the new Captain America, on it. Fantastic Four 44 Reckoning War. Not to be confused with the Fantastic Four, like 44 of the old days. Iron Man issue 20. This is your Fortnite variant. We're getting really close to Iron Man proposing to Hellcat.
Ooh.
Frank Frazzetta's Death Dealer issue 2. That's the Linsner variant. Wonder Woman 88. This is Wonder Woman still taking on Dr. Psycho, who has become a television personality and is trying to convince everybody that Wonder Woman is a bad guy. And I have a lot of wonderful thoughts about that I can only share with you in the store. So please come in and talk to me about Wonder Woman
is he a Wonder Woman villain?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are doing a great job. Becky, Michael, I love you. Please keep doing what you're doing. Spider-Gwen. Gwenverse issue 3. I love this story. It's so much fun. Gwen has been split into a bunch of different things. We've got the Spider-Gwen Captain America, but we are meeting more and more Gwens because all of her personality has been split across the multiverse into different superheroes. Ben Reilly Spider-Man issue 5 and Swamp Gods issue 5 from Ron Mars and Heavy Metal Magazine. Some great new titles in stock. Come in and grab them. We also have some trades in stock. New this week in stock. Very excited. Yes. Chicken Devil is out in trade. What? That was a book that we both loved a ton. This is issues 1 through 4, volume 1 of Chicken Devil. We've also got volume 3 of Cancer. This is Lionhearted, which is a book that bases all of their titles off of The Wizard of Oz and is Shannon's pick of forever. Things back in stock. We've got Batman TMNT, Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by James Tynion. First one.
We have volume 2 and 3 also.
Yeah, there were 3 separate ones, all fantastic, by the way.
All of them. We've got book 1 of Sandman in stock. This is issues 1 through 20, I believe, of Sandman. I could be wrong, but I think that's correct.
1 through 20.
Yeah, 1 through 20. So if you need to jump in on Sandman, this is the way to do it. Dark Blood from Boom Studios. This is the whole story in stock, in a thing. Radiant Black Volume 1. We also have Volume 2, so if you want to catch up on Radiant Black, this is the way to do it. Since it's Father's Day, I felt it necessary to bring a story of a great father, Mr. Miracle. Also, Tom King just really showing off in that story. A Man Among Ye from Stephanie Phillips is Volume 2. We do have both Volume 1 and Volume 2, I believe. Wonder Woman Afterworlds, which is the first volume of the Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad story. If you need to catch up, you should. It's fantastic. This is a lot of issues. 770 through 779?
Yep.
Yeah. Great story. I love it. I love what they're doing with it. And then, of course, Bunny Mask, Volume 1. If you thought what we were talking about earlier was cool, this is your chance to catch up on Bunny Mask. definitely time to do it. Yeah, those are some of the trades. Obviously, we have tons and tons and tons more. We've got a great selection of half-off trades in stock, so now it's time to come get them. Comic book news. I'm going to do this in a reverse order so we can talk about this. Starting with what is coming up this week in stocks. I'm going to do that first because all the other stuff is heavier. So this week we have Nightwing 93 in stock, Moon Knight number 12, Something is Killing the Children 24, Immortal X-Men number 3, Batman the Night number 6, just in time for that Chips at RC story to end and the regular in continuity Chips at RC story to start. Nocterra issue 11, Dark Crisis Young Justice number 1, New Fantastic Four number 1, Silver Surfer Rebirth 5, Silver Coin issue 11, Black Adam number 1 launching from DC, We Only Find Them When They're Dead number 11, Radiant Red number 4, Rogue Sun number 5. Marvel Voices Pride issue is coming out this week, and I know that's one that has a first appearance in comics, so a lot of people are freaking out about it, but we're gonna have a bunch. Bloodstained Teeth issue 3, Homesick Pilots issue 15, end of Homesick Pilots issue 15, I believe. Yep. I Hate This Place issue 2, Fables 152, which is part 2 of the new Fables ongoing. Aquaman and Flash Void Song number 1, Red Room Trigger Warnings number 4, Cowboy Bebop number 4, which is the end of the Cowboy Bebop story, which Lamar was telling me today that a lot of the reviewers have said if you were disappointed in the show, issue 4 of the comic redeems a lot of that for you.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Beware of the Eye of Odin, issue 1, launching this week. Shaolin Cowboy, Cruel to Be Kind, number 2. Hellcop, number 8. Heavy Metal Drummer, issue 5 is finally out. I've had a lot of people asking me where that's been. Lonesome Hunters, number 1. Primos, number 4, which is the end of volume 1 of Primos. Kaiju Score, Still from the Gods, issue 3. The Joneses, issue 3. Killer Affairs of the State from Boom Studios, issue 5. Nook, number 1, which is the new Source Point title that I've been very excited about, as well as The Illusion Witch, number 1 from Behemoth, which I have been very, very, very excited about. Corollary number 3, Cover of Darkness number 6, and Lead City number 4 is out because we did get Lead City number 3 late. So hopefully we will actually be getting Lead City number 4 on time this week. We had big news that we were talking about this week with, you have it up on your phone, the algorithm, an AI algorithm wrote a comic book.
So,
drew a comic.
Yes, so it's going to be called Abolition of Man, and it is taken from lines from the C.S. Lewis series, The Abolition of Man. So a cartoonist went in, put in a bunch of lines into this algorithm, which is it's an AI image generation system called Midjourney AI, and it basically created this entire comic book series created through an algorithm. I would Google search this and take a look at it because the art is crazy. It looks like kind of like those old intense religious paintings that you would see in churches. It looks nuts. It looks really crazy. But I saw this article and I immediately sent it to Shannon and was like, hey, whenever this hits previews, like make sure to get it. Because this is very interesting. Like I feel like a lot of the times we talk about some of the interesting things that you can do with comic books and play with that medium. And so this is kind of interesting. It also draws up a question of like, is this going to be the first of many that we see? Is this going to give writers a chance, people who don't have any artistic abilities, to now go in and maybe use this Midjourney AI? Maybe this becomes available to everybody. And so if you're somebody who has this comic book idea, you don't know how to draw, maybe this is the next step for people to put out comics is through this. So I think it's very, very interesting. I don't know a lot of kind of what went into building this AI or why they decided to do it. But I really look forward to it. Let me see if I can find some of the art and blow it up. Of course I can't. Yeah, here we go. Let me see if I can turn my phone. But yeah, this is what the art looks like. It's very painted. It looks great. I think it's going to look fantastic. But I think more than anything, it just kind of opens up a lot of possibilities in the world of comics and how art is done. So I look forward to this when it hits previews. Definitely check it out.
And it is specifically listed, I don't know if you said this, I'm sorry, but it's specifically listed as in partnership with Diamond.
Oh, I did not know that.
Diamond shared it on their LinkedIn and was like, we are doing this thing. So this is like specifically listed as in partnership with Diamond on like Diamond's sites. So I'm curious to see what that means if Diamond is specifically pushing it.
Yeah, final order cutoff is September 12th, and it'll be in stores end of October 26th. Give you a chance to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Start Googling it now and let us know if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so all the sad news of the week. So I brought this specifically to show off, but
what a tough one.
This was an out of nowhere surprise. I can't believe this happened, but we lost Tim Sale this week. Yeah. And we don't necessarily still know why. They haven't released like what happened. Earlier in the week, end of last week, I guess. Last weekend maybe, beginning of the week, Jim Lee posted that Tim Sale was in the hospital and this like and then it started to flood with other comic creators saying like Tim Sale's in the hospital, it's very serious, we don't know what's going on. And I was like, the fact that all of these comic creators are posting about it makes me nervous.
Right.
Because if Tim was just in the hospital, it would just be Tim in the hospital. Like, we wouldn't be talking about it necessarily. And then a couple days later, I was working in the back room, and it was new comic book day. It was Wednesday, and there was all these people in the store, and I went to check something on the internet, and there's just somebody had posted. One of the comic creators was like, "Oh my god, I just lost my friend," and I was like, wait, what friend? And I looked it up, and of course it was Tim Sale, who you probably know, as we were just showing, is the artist on the Long Halloween series, as well as incredibly other amazing things.
The Marvel colored series. There was like Daredevil yellow and Hulk gray,
and Captain America white and Spider-Man red.
I think blue. Spider-Man blue.
Spider-Man blue. But yeah, all of those incredible series, Tim Sale did that art on all of those, and it was such a big shock. And we've lost a lot of the people who've been in the business for a really, really long time recently, but for a lot of people who come in now, Long Halloween is their starting point. And so for even a lot of people who are new to comics, Tim Sale was one of those that was like, wait, I actually know that name.
Right.
And that's a person who got me into comics. And so it was one of those that, George Perez and Neil Adams, like for those of us who have loved going back in time with comics and who have been either a part of comics for a long time or at least have dove into all of that, that was something that, we all were like, oh my god, this is a huge part of my childhood. It's a huge part of who I am. But with Long Halloween, that's a book that has connected with people even who have recently just watched The Batman, and that's their first foray into comics.
Right.
So there were people who were like, I've been into comics for a week, and I just found out that this creator died, and that hits me hard because that was my first comic book. And there's so many people that were like, that was my first. Long Halloween was my first comic. And so people who are just coming into comics were even impacted by this. So this was a big loss for fans for throughout that spectrum, because this is such a modern day classic that people of all ages were just like, what just happened? And it wasn't something we had any idea was even on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it was 66 or 67?
I think so.
Yeah, it was one of those where, so I have a Google phone, so occasionally I get news stories from Google. They'll just send me kind of like random notifications, and that popped up while I was at work one night, and I was like, that's not possible.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then of course I go to Twitter, and it's like, and Instagram, and there's all these, posts about Tim Sale, and I was just like, this can't be, him and Jeff Loeb were two guys that I was like, I can't wait to meet them at a con one day. Like, that's one of those powerhouse creative teams that, like, Dark Knight Returns was the first thing I read, Death Superman second, and then Long Halloween Dark Victory was immediately after that. And, you know, I mean, even, you know, this...
Catwoman in Rome is one of my favorite books of all time.
One of my all-time favorite books is When in Rome. I mean, I talk about it all the time when people are like, oh, you know, I feel like Catwoman's one of those characters that's never been written well. And it's like, well,
have you read...
Hold on a second. Start with When in Rome, and then...
Jump to the now.
And then jump to everything that's coming out now.
Oh, Brubaker, Darwin Cook
yes,
as well.
That's true. That's true.
But,
but, like, it's just one of those that, like, that one hurt. Because, you know, at least with, like, George Perez, there was a lot of, like, hey, this is coming.
It's happening.
Prepare
we knew
yourself.
when he went to hospice. Like, we were all included in that conversation.
Yeah.
But this was just like, oh, Tim's in the hospital. And it's like, okay, well, people go to the hospital all the time.
Right.
Like, you know. But it was like, it's weird that everybody's talking about it that's friends with him. Like, I feel like we should take it seriously. And then almost immediately afterwards, it was like, hey, Tim's gone.
Yeah.
And Matt talked about how when, you know, George died, that he walked into the store and there's a crowd of people and he had to tell the crowd of people. And then I just had that moment with Tim Cell where there was this massive crowd of people and I just walk out and I'm just like staring at Matt and he's like, what's up? And I was like, Tim Cell died. And like everybody in the room stops what they're doing and is like, what? And I was like, I don't really know how to tell you. Like, again, like, that's what I can't say it again. Like, that's it. That's all you get. Like, so, yeah, it was crazy, but thank you to Tim for all of the art that we got, the incredible impact that you had on the comic book industry, and for sharing that over time with us, because, again, every day for the rest of the time that I own a comic book store and probably the rest of the time that I'm alive, when people ask me what they should read, Long Halloween is probably going to be one of the first books that I grab, especially if they're like, what if I have a Batman? I want to read Batman. What should I read? I'm probably going to hand you Long Halloween first.
I mean, it's definitely in the top 5 of, like, must-read Batman stories, without a doubt. And there's so much influence that has come out of that book series. Right. And if you read Long Halloween, read Dark Victory also, which was the follow-up to that, because it was just as good. I mean, like, this is a true powerhouse creative team.
I'm glad we got that single issue, like, this year, that special, the Long Halloween special. Yeah. But thank you, Tim Cell, for everything you did. You will be incredibly missed, and our hearts are obviously with his family and friends. Yeah. And his fans, because I know that, you know, a lot of times, I remember when Alan Rickman passed away, and I posted something on my Facebook page about it, and there was a bunch of people who were like, what does it matter? You didn't know this person. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't stop the impact a person can have on you. And you know, like, this is a person who, Tim Cell's the kind of person who had a huge impact on the world that we're in and around us. And art is a medium that's super powerful, and it impacts people every day. And so thanks, Tim. Yeah.
And I've never liked that argument. So like, well, you didn't know it's the same as, like, when a team wins a World Series and you're like, and they're like, you, like, why does it, you're not a part of this. It's like, but I am. But I am, because I was there, like, a part of it. Also, there's a lot of people that are in my life that passed away that don't make as big of an impact sometimes as the people I didn't actually know. Like, it's all in how a person actually touches you. And this is something that I know has touched a lot of people. And so, again, you know, we are sad to see you go, but thank you for the legacy you left behind. Thank you for the tons of great material that you've left behind.
Yeah. And then lastly, since we already made you really sad, just a reminder, if you didn't see the announcement that Phil shared or the announcement that Bat City shared, Bat City is moving. We announced it earlier this week, but just in case you didn't see it, the Bat City store front here in Austin will be closing on July 3rd for the general public. Subscribers, you have until July 24th for your comics that will be coming in to pick up and the stuff in your box. Bat City is moving to Florida. We will be going to the Bradenton, Sarasota area. We'll be about 15 minutes away from CGC. So for those of you who do like to submit your comics for grading, you can still reach out and submit to Matt. Matt is actually taking submissions to take with him because cleaning and pressing will still be a service we offer. You can always mail, but if you have something ready to go that you want to send, you can send that with Matt when we leave. And he will be hand delivering comics to CGC from now on, as well as hand receiving comics from CGC. You'll be going and picking them up and then mailing them back to you. If you haven't spoken to Matt about that yet, please reach out to him. Otherwise, he'll be reaching out to you over the next couple weeks about the books that you may have in the queue for signings upcoming, or just grading or cleaning and pressing in general. But definitely reach out to Matt. Like I said, for subscribers, we have ordered your comics through June 20th. So that is to give you enough time. So that is actually how long in advance orders have already been done by comic book stores. So a lot of people have come in and said, when should I start looking for my subscription? Honestly, as soon as you want. Like, that's up to you. I understand that, like, going into a store is a big part of it. So get to know the other local comic stores in Austin. There's a lot of really great ones. We have already ordered comics through June 20th. And so that's why I want to make sure your comics are here, just in case you do not find another store between now and then that has the comics ready and available for you. If you do, please just let us know, but know also that we will have your comics if you don't. We are also going to have mail order comic subscriptions. So if you're somebody who's like, I just want to stay with Bat City because I love what you're doing and I love you guys and I want to keep getting my comics from you, I will be sending out an email in the next couple of days that will explain to you all of the process for mail order and everything like that, to let you know that you can. If you're not currently a subscriber and you want to be a subscriber and you're fine with mail order, you can also hit me up through our social media or email, contact@badcity.org. Let us know. We will still be continuing as a nonprofit. So all of the nonprofit programs that you've come to love watching what we're doing here, they're still going to be in existence. We're still going to be donating books to both Texas schools and Florida schools. We are going to be doing a lot more workshops because we will actually have a workshop space built into the store, which is super exciting for us. There will be a classroom on site, and we will also have virtual programming for all of the schools here in Austin and around Texas that want to continue with us. We are going to continue those programs virtually. So there's a lot of really great growth opportunities coming for Bat City with this move. It's very exciting, but it is also, it's sad to see our family, our Bat fam, have that long distance between us. But like I said in our post, Nightwing moved away, and the Bat family just continued to get stronger.
Right.
So, wherever you are, you're still part of the Bat family. You're always a member of our hearts, and we love you, and there's still great ways to be involved. That said, I'm taking this guy with me.
Yeah, I was trying really hard not to say anything prior to the announcement, but yeah, I will be going as well. The moment that Matt and Shannon said, hey, this may be something that we have to do to keep the business alive, without hesitation, I was like, yo, wherever you guys go, I'm going to go with you. There's no doubt. I haven't had a solid friend group in a decade. And this is the first time that I've had that, and I don't want to lose it. So there was no doubt in my mind. Before I moved into the apartment that I'm in, I called my mom one night and was like, hey, I don't think I'm going to get an apartment in Austin. I don't think it's possible. I think I'm going to move to Atlanta. And my mom said, that's the dumbest idea. I've never heard you talk so highly about people in your life the way that you do now. And to run away from that would be, I know you would be devastated. So yeah, it was no doubt that wherever Bat City goes, I want to be there, and I want to be a part of this in any way possible. So
Phil wants me to hug him, and if you know Phil, he really doesn't, but he says things like that, like he wants me to hug him. And yes, Ram said I'll always be a Bat Fam member. Absolutely, Ram, you are with us wherever we go as well. We love you. And Bat Fam is Bat Fam. I'm actually starting, it might actually be there if you go look, but I started a group on Facebook that's like a Bat Fam member group. So if you want to be a part of a community where you can chat on the Bat City Facebook in a Facebook group with other Bat City Fam members, that's going to be a thing that you can join, and then that way we can keep people, give you that place to talk about comics and all the stuff you love. I just ask that you don't post spoilers in there without like a warning. Because you know how I feel about spoilers. But yes, we are moving. We will be completely heading out. Matt and I will be leaving July 28th officially. There will be announcements about like get-togethers and things like that before we go, but July 28th will be the day that Matt and I drive away with Pumpkin. Matt, I guess I should include her. Matt and myself and Pumpkin will be driving towards Florida July 28th, and then hopefully we'll all of the social media and stuff, like the handle will change, but it'll all stay the same at the same time. Like it'll be the same pages and stuff, so if you're already following us, you don't have to look for new stuff. And we are keeping the name Bat City. A lot of people have asked, like, oh, are you going to change the name? No, because this is where we started. This is our home. This is like, you know, this is part of who we are. And so we will always be Bat City, so that we can take a little bit of y'all with us everywhere we go. So if you don't have to look for us again, we're still be Bat City, and we're easy enough to find all the time.
Also, if Austin gets too expensive, everyone's more than welcome to come with us.
Yeah.
No doubt. We'll take all of you.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people who've already said, well, I'm going to start finding my house
yeah.
in Bradenton and Sarasota, and, you know, we're happy to have you. Well, there's a comic book store waiting just for you when you get there.
And if the idea of doing a book club on the beach sounds really nice,
let us know.
Hey, you know.
We'll be there for it, for sure. Number one beach in the continental U.S. is about 20 minutes away, so we're here for that. And then the beach in general, which is really just as gorgeous as the number one beach, is only about 10 minutes away. Yeah. So
I pitched the Bradenton, Sarasota area to my mom. She's my only family member still in Texas. I just kind of showed her like pictures of the city, and my mom was like, all right, I guess I'll start looking for houses or apartments in Bradenton. And I was like, yeah, I think, you know.
Come on, Mom.
Yeah. We're 2 hours away from Disney World, Mom. Let's go. Come on. So, I'm excited. I've been here for a very long time, and I'm very nervous about the move. It's like one of my biggest life decisions in quite some time. But I'm very excited.
Yeah. When I told Lisa from Austin Books and Comics, she actually has tickets already to the Universal Halloween Horror Nights. It's her thing every year. So I was like, look, I will definitely be at Halloween Horror Nights, but I'm not staying in the hotel with you. Yeah. And she's like, oh, where are you staying? And I was like, well, I'm moving to Florida. And she was like, what the hell? And I was like, there you go, but I'll see you there. Like, it's not that far. Like, I'll join you. But it's going to be a huge change. We are honestly able to do it because of, we know, like, the support and that we had from everybody. Just everybody coming in this week has been fantastic. Everybody's been like, I hate it for me, but I love it for you, and I appreciate that level of support. It's only going to get a little bit sadder before it gets happy. Yeah. But it's kind of like, you know, Ron tells Harry Potter and, you know, Prisoner of Azkaban, you're going to suffer, but you're going to be happy about it. Like, it's kind of like in that, like, where there's a lot of sadness, but we're going to be happy about it. It's definitely a great move for Bat City. We're always here to support you wherever we are, and help you get your comics in however we can. And we just want to continue to say thank you for all the love and support we've had while we were here. Hopefully we'll see you in the store this week. Again, we're open to the general public until July 3rd. Big sale coming up that week, so expect announcements coming soon. But hopefully we'll see you this week because we want to make sure we see everybody as much as we can before we go. If we don't see you in the shop, we'll definitely see you here on the live stream for Wind Down Your Weekend next week. And they think there'll be like a couple weeks where Phil won't be on the show, and then Phil will be back on the show. Like in late August, there will be a couple weeks where Phil's not on the show, and then he'll be back. I guess early August, he'll be back in late August.
Yeah.
But Wind Down Your Weekend will continue with Small Press Shann and Wednesday Phil for as long as we can. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you soon. Have a great week. Keep reading. Bye.